Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday stream. In this stream, we've got maybe two things on the table. One is going over a little interaction I had with some atheists, and possibly after that, we just were watching the Destiny nuke by a guy named Ryan Beard, which was interesting, better than almost any other analyses I've seen, and I'm not sure if that would be on this channel. Wouldn't really, right?
Well, we are co-streaming to 3 channels right now. It's on your Pugio Fide channel. Oh, I'm sorry. The call-in, you're saying?
This should be on the Pugio Fide.
It is, yeah, it is.
Why is it on 2 other channels?
Because Thorpe TV is like the main channel, so I'm trying to push people over.
Sure.
Also to your channel.
But I'm saying the Destiny stuff isn't really a Pugio Fide thing. I mean, the problem is it all could be. But
yeah,
let's just jump into it.
All right, let's see here. All right, so this was your call
I
into
called
the line?
into a show called The Line, which is like an atheist call-in show. I think Matt Dillahunty does it, and then they get other atheists to do it. I don't know these people, but we watched for a little bit, and just a couple of nights ago, felt like give it a shot, call in, because I have a different approach to what's called apologetics, which is sort of defending the faith, and it's similar to what's called presuppositionalism, which is attacking the sort of presuppositions of the opponent, and ortho bros are known to do that, and they're not wrong to do that, but I wanted to take a different approach to these kind of, I would call them conversations. They're not really debates. I don't really think, what I want to say is, like, I don't really think it makes sense to debate the existence of God, but I will talk to people who claim they want to debate that and make the point that it's actually not a debate.
Yeah.
At all. Now, you can debate the existence of Jesus Christ, no problem. You can debate whether Christianity is true. You can debate whether God of the Old Testament is a loving God. But you can't debate the existence of God. And people who do are actually just angry at God. And I think it's fine to be angry at God, but to claim that it's an intellectual issue is a lie.
Yeah.
That's a sincere intellectual issue that they don't have any emotions on. So we'll see how I try to do that here, if you can get it rolling. But do you have it with the chat?
Let me find that. I forgot, actually. The Line live. This one.
Cool. So you're
Yeah, here we go. Live chat replay. All right, here we go.
Okay, so is this number the number of all 3 channels?
Yeah.
Sad.
Let's go.
62.
Let's go.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank
we'll
you
do
all 62 of you for being here.
We'll do the chat on the side.
And whatever channel you're on, we get all 3 of them here. But
yeah,
Pugio Fide is the right place to go.
yeah, Pugio
Please
Fide.
subscribe.
If you just look it up, please subscribe and like and all that stuff. Turn the bell on. We're trying to build up that channel. Thorpe TV is going to be just IRL and personal updates and stuff like that, in my opinion.
Right. Sure.
So I think that's the way we'll do it from here on out. All right, let's go with this. with these. Remember, guys, 10 days or so, DebateCon. Debate Con is coming up in New Jersey. Who wants to get some Andrew Wilson IRL? Let's fucking go.
Can we put them down a little bit?
What do you mean?
Lower here?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Because what do we need this for? Are you...
Oh, you mean on the... Oh, hold on. I can zoom in. You mean like that? That way the chat's nice and big. That's the best I can do.
Okay.
If you want to include the chat.
I do.
All right, let's go.
Right, let's talk to Ben. Hey, Ben, you
Hello?
are live with Promise and Paul. What do you want to talk with us about today?
Hi, thanks for having me. I wanted to take a little bit of a different approach, if you can follow it, just for a minute. I wanted to ask you, I'm a theist, you're atheist, I understand that. What, as human beings, do you find to be the most important thing of being a human, aspect of being a human?
Yes, Promise is the brunette.
Yeah.
I couldn't begin
What's
to
the
pick.
most important?
Hold on one
Just-
second. So,
Sure.
do you want me to stop it?
Sure, if you want to, yeah. No
Okay.
problem.
So, these two people, and we had seen them interact a little bit before. The guy on the left is a very nice guy. Seemed like the woman is very passive aggressive, and then he kind of catches up to her. Obviously, she's gorgeous, which is interesting because I would say there's a relationship between atheism and ugliness.
Yeah.
But not always. And
Somebody said Ben, he, him, LMAO. Yeah, they asked for his pronouns on
You
like
had
the
to do
interview
that.
or whatever.
you have to do that. So, yeah, and the framework and the way this works, and I think this is what Christians should troll is, this is like the idea of the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment idea is we are going to have a conversation and we're both seeking the truth and we're sharing our ideas and having an interesting debate that, God forbid, gets personal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just purely we're two people generously seeking the truth together. The assumption we're seeking the truth together and we're making intellectual points one with another. However, atheists have correctly, I think, utilized this framework of politeness to be unbelievably passive aggressive and so they've taken, like, Matt Dillahunty is a perfect example, a complete asshole who looks pleasant superficially and seems to be doing this, but they're not doing it. There's no good faith. They're not open to being wrong. They're angry and are assholes, which is why atheism has kind of lost this kind of atheism is not very popular anymore. You can clearly see through it that it's just really, daddy issues.
Yeah.
And you can see that very clearly play itself out here.
Similar thing happened with feminism. It's no longer cool.
Yeah,
To be
it
like, I'm a
just-
feminist.
It just, like, it doesn't really, the guy on the left does a pretty good job of seeming like, for a while, like, okay, I'm listening to you, and I have my experience,
Yeah.
you have your experience.
Yeah.
But you quickly get into this idea like, oh, this is a fucking cult. And like, they get really angry if you don't like obey the rules of the cult, which is to like cut Christians. Right. The whole point of this is to make Christians kind of come on and be like, hey, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not one of those guys.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm cool. Like, I'm polite when you're incredibly rude, and I'm not going to push back because, like, thanks so much for having me, which I don't understand why anyone has an obligation to do that. And they found that very offensive. In the end, they found me like deeply offensive.
Oh,
which
the chat was...
I think they did from the first, like, even the tenor of my voice coming across like fairly deep. They're
Yeah.
like, I think this bitch. I think this bitch in particular was like.
Well, she got instantly triggered. I mean,
So
you didn't even like get 3 sentences in.
So they haven't yet, like, I don't know, maybe you could pay more attention to their chat just to see, like, it's just going to be daddy issues, right? And
Just
Oh,
one.
yeah.
I am actually seeing it.
They freaked out. You got to give it a
Could you
minute.
just give me any stab at it?
Wait,
What
so-
is the most important
But
aspect
you understand
of your
that
life?
any answer that I am going to give is going to be absolutely personal and not anything I'm projecting
Sure.
as should be the case for anyone
Sure.
else. So, for
Which is obvious.
example, the most important thing in my life are my kids.
Okay, perfect. So you would put that under the category of relationships, and I would think many,
you know what?
many people.
That's what I was going to drive for. I'd give it to them first because this is where I think you can involve like women and like non-intellectuals. Almost everyone would say relationships.
Loving relationships.
Relationships. Well, no. Well, I mean, and then that's second, but like relationships.
Yeah.
What would I die for? What would I live for? Relationships. So once you can go there, then you can have a different kind of conversation. But what I'm saying is you're acknowledging that the most important part of your humanity is your relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Jim, we'll go over later, maybe Jim Bob like made fun of me because he's like, that's not the way to go. But I think it is a good way to go.
People would agree.
But hold on, Ben. I actually would say, so there have been times because they are theists and I'm not, that the relationship wasn't great, and I actually prioritized what I was visioning as their future over forcing a relationship, or like I actually put my relationship to them secondary to what I thought their best interests were. So
it's your
not
kids' well-being.
My kids'
more
well-being
than your
is more
relationship
with
important
them.
to me than
Yeah.
my relationship with them.
Troll for sure.
Okay, but
If the
that
best thing for
part of
them is
your
that they never see
relationship.
me again, I would never see them again.
I sense a
Right.
script.
Okay, but that would be your relationship with them, right? Because you would say
Well, you seem to be wanting to
care
grow,
about
but okay, if empathy is a relationship, if that's what you want to say, but I'm worried we're getting into some definitional thing.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure,
if
sure.
you're just wanting to
But I
make a
would say
point
that
about
for a lot of-
relationships, I'd rather you get to that point, because if you ask me what's the most important thing in my life, I'm gonna say staying healthy enough to stay alive and experience my life. That's gonna come number one, because otherwise, what's
Okay.
the point of I can't
Okay.
experience anything else. So you're gonna get
Pretending to be saying pick a card, any card, while telling you what card to pick.
Also, her thing of saying like being healthy is being alive. You have to be alive to have a relationship. Okay, that's just like, again, it's like this is like crappy logical things. Yes, that doesn't mean it's usually the most satisfying thing in your life. Okay.
different answers from different people. So if you're
Like,
wanting
yeah,
to,
well, what's the
if
most
this is
important
some
thing
kind
in
of
life?
question-
Oh, breathing.
Right.
Access to oxygen. Okay, well,
Well, would that be
It's
like
not
saying
really the
what's the most
question.
important? What's the most beautiful art you've ever seen? My eyes, because without them I couldn't see anything.
yeah,
It's like
exactly.
retarded.
Yeah.
Instead of saying what is necessary to experience something is prior to it. But anyways, she's obviously trying to duck. She's trying to duck. It's not really hard. It's not really very controversial to say relationships.
Yeah.
Relationships.
Yeah.
For most people.
Yeah.
And like, the point is if you don't say relationships, then you look like an idiot. You look like a type of person that people are like, oh my God, like what? Right?
Yeah.
Everyone has to say relationships.
Yeah.
to get us to a certain spot, I'd rather you just go ahead and take us to that spot, and then we can figure it out from there.
And she's saying, don't try to trick me, nigga.
No gotchas.
Well, I can't make an argument. It's like
Yeah.
2-step argument.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm
I'm not answering your
Angry.
question. Just make your point. Okay.
Okay, so I would say for
I asked her, can you follow me just for a minute?
Yeah.
You know, and the answer is, no, I can't because I feel like you're tricking me.
for a lot of people, relationships are the most important thing in their life. Whether the relationships are good or bad, it is. We are social animals, let's say, and relationships are generally the most satisfying thing for us. And the opposite of, I think most people would also say, what you really don't like
Make a
is to be
point,
treated
Ben.
like an object. like in sexual relationships, if someone treats someone else like
Some
an
people
object.
like that.
Notice, can we count? She cuts me off here.
Yeah. First
Okay.
interruption.
And now she's making kind of a smiling argument for rape. Okay, interesting. Or rapey kind of sex, which I don't know. Is that what do you call that? A
Cell phone.
No, is that
Self-report.
Self-report?
Yeah. Self-report
'Cause I can see that. Honestly,
from
I
the
can see
Timu
that.
Anne Hathaway.
I
Yeah.
can see that. But like generally, that's not a flex to say like, what about rape?
Some
Like
people like
rapey
that.
sex is something that people are into while smiling about it. Is kind of
You should have said,
like-
yeah, I make an exception for you, you dirty bitch.
someone's a hoe. Am I right, Paul? Okay, but like, so in order to keep me from making my point, which of course makes them look ultra defensive, they're saying like, I don't know about relationships being important.
Yeah.
Okay, so you lose the appeal to like common sense there.
Yeah.
And then you say like, in bad relationships, like let's say in the sexual realm, or one in which the other person is used as a thing, and you're saying like, well, maybe not.
Right.
2 L's.
Yeah.
Some people actually really like that. So I'm still not sure where we're going with.
Hilarious rape joke, which I do like. Yeah. I mean, it's not really a rape joke; it's a rape endorsement. So, anyways, anyone who might be inclined that way, apparently, you've got Promise over here, or Eve, as her real name is, which is kind of interesting. Also,
Oh, how do you know her
apparently-
real name is Eve?
I know I saw it somewhere.
Oh.
It said Promise /Eve.
Oh.
So if you want a certain, if your snake wants to have a certain conversation with her that may or may not be fully consensual, Eve might be up to bite that apple.
Okay, so yeah, you could say maybe there are exceptions to this, but like largely speaking, that is true.
I don't
So-
know because I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to see data on that to see how most people like to be treated during sex. I don't
Second
know.
interruption.
No, you wouldn't.
Second interruption.
Okay, and also, and I'm making again a like obviously easy argument to make, which is like people hold relationships at a very high regard. And she's saying I need to see data, but she's talking about sex.
Yeah.
But like this is again one of these enlightenment things. I need data. You can't say that. We're not allowed to use intuition here. And I'm saying, yeah, of course we can use intuition.
I need to see data that most people don't.
Because all
like
I'm
to be
saying is
treated
most.
like an object in
I'm saying
relationships.
most. I'm saying most.
Fourth
you don't need
interruption.
to study.
Fourth interruption. Grace cannot count. You know what? I'll keep a tally.
Y'all
I'll
know
keep a
that
tally.
I
Okay.
would
love
need
is
to.
very-
The interruptions come in later.
And ask me, like,
1,
and
2,
also how many
3,
times
4.
am I interrupting her? Like she's
Okay.
interrupting me.
Eve
I'm sorry, I
4,
would need
Ben
to, Ben,
0
and I'd
so
rather you
far.
get
Oh,
to your
that's
point if
5
you want
right there. Go ahead.
And scolding
to
also.
me instead of having us come along with you on these presuppositions about social things that I don't know if I agree with you with. I'd rather hear your point. That's an honest
Okay.
conversation.
Now she's lecturing me.
Mm-hmm.
What a cunt.
Yeah.
She's going to tell me what an honest conversation is. For me to say relationships are important for a lot of people, and the opposite of good relationship is being treated like an object.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
And she's furious at that. Why?
She's being
the other guy
rather
seems like,
cunty.
okay,
He's
this
following
is
it.
a very short ride. It's not.
Yeah.
Okay, so if love is important, at least to many, many people, let's say love, caring about another person, we can use the word love, all right? And one definition of God is that God is love. Then for at least all of those people for whom relationships and the word love would be used by them, they are theists.
Okay, before they get to their response, I
Yeah.
just want to read this chat from Sparrow the Sissy. Clearly trying to define relationship and a special way to slip in his invisible friend. And what can your god do for me? An anime body pillow can't.
See, I love that. That's great.
Your atheist, sir? Your atheist trad wife, sir?
That's great. Because, see, what they end up doing, and what a lot of people do in the debate sphere, is saying, like, you have to prove something to me.
Mm-hmm.
And as if you can't have a conversation about something which is likely or possible or something like that. And by proof, they mean like a mathematical proof, but they actually mean a scientific proof, like done in a laboratory.
Yeah.
But if you just say, what I'm interested in doing is winning rhetorically in the sense of appealing to the audience, okay, they will... that's the actual point of rhetoric.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So mathematics, you want to prove things, but even there, not always. But this idea of the super high standard of proof actually fails rhetorically because most people are convinced by probable arguments or common sense kind of intuitive things.
Yes.
And if you
right.
force the other person to get into like unbelievably complicated ways to explain something, which you're just saying like, this is a word we all use and we believe in, like in the sense of that it means something, which is common sense.
Yeah.
Then if they go, well, I don't believe in that, but like what it is this other thing going on, then you just win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's true.
Now,
you make them look like irrational people, I think.
assholes. And
Assholes.
And the more angry they get,
Them look
the better. And this is my problem with the Ortho Bros. They think in order to do this, you yourself have to be an asshole because Matt Dillahunty is an asshole, which he is. But then you should be an asshole in response to him being an asshole, and it's an even fight. Which, of course, is like okay on some level, but why be an asshole? Why not just be childlike and say, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here to say things that are common sense, and you can say, like, oh, you haven't proved anything to me. I don't give a fuck. Because, like, common sense doesn't need to be defended.
Right.
Now, they'll say, of course, and this is one of the big things in science, is like common sense is often incorrect. And it depends what you mean by common sense, but if you mean like the use of the word love or truth are often incorrect, no. Things that are that basic. And you can get into like the pre-sup thing here of saying like, but I'm just saying, what are you doing, Grace?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. Okay. I got it. I got it. Literally do not worry about it.
All right. So anyways, we'll keep going.
Okay. Not trying to throw you off. Just don't worry about it.
See that now they
You're-
start
you're-
doing
you're
with the,
just
then
saying
they,
that-
now they're starting in with the, misandry. Ben now mansplaining as if a man is talking, it's like wrong.
Yeah.
And then it says, do not talk over the host, which I was just continuing to make my statement as I was being repeatedly interrupted.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so now you start seeing, and this is where Paul comes in. People who have inverted something like this, so like they see everything upside down.
Yeah. But he is kind of saying like, okay, promise, relax on the cuntiness.
Yeah, maybe.
A little bit.
Well, I think he's a simp for her. Who wouldn't be? I mean,
Oh yeah, I mean she's gorgeous.
if it was
I have
two
to
of
say.
him there, who cares? But like, you know,
Yeah.
she's fascinating because she's like very attractive. I think fairly smart, sharp, and like, but obviously like so angry because
Yeah.
women I think are naturally more religious. Though men are more logical. So when they are like, it's like a black person being really anti-religious, odd.
Anne
A
Hathaway.
woman being like super anti-religious, odd. It's usually like dorky guys like Matt Dillahunty.
Anne does not Hathaway. Yeah. It is, I agree. You never see a gorgeous woman on like
Yeah,
an
because like,
atheism channel.
well, the most obvious thing is like, what are you angry at God about? He made you gorgeous.
Yeah, you're too pretty to be angry.
You can
you
pretty
imagine
much
if, like,
manipulate
you're
the whole
an
world
ugly
if you could just be.
girl?
You're talking over me, Grace.
Sorry.
Maybe you're an atheist too. If you,
You're
like,
mansplaining.
she can basically get anything she wants by being pleasant, but instead she's angry.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, like theism for her would be like such a win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, wow, something really dark must have happened because
Who hurt her?
why be
Who hurt her?
why be an unpleasant, angry person? You could just get the whole world by switching gears. Whereas this guy, it's like it's going to be rough no matter what.
Yeah. Bully is calling out your fallacies. He
Bully
says,
the internet.
Ben's arguments equals incredulity fallacy. This doesn't make any sense. Fallacy 2, appeal to common sense. Everybody knows this, which relates to the ad populum fallacy. The
Yeah.
list goes on.
Yeah. Now, the thing about fallacies is that if you're talking about strict debates, okay, strict debates are a product of the Enlightenment. Used to be, I mean, in actual fact, most like sort of debates that take place, like political debates, include a fair amount of what's called rhetoric, which means things which are added in for spice, right? And are not strict, like sort of mathematical syllogisms.
Yeah.
Also, every fallacy is limited. So sort of like the ad populum fallacy is the appeal to the people. The ad populum fallacy is usable in a way of saying, like, we've all come to see that slavery is immoral. Like, so for grand, like, movements of humanity, you can appeal to that as a form of legitimate authority. And you can all, but what I wasn't saying, most people say this, therefore it's right. That's not actually, that would be a fallacy. But I was just saying most people see this, and I'm only appealing to most people. People who don't think, I actually think people who don't think relationships are the most important thing
Yeah.
aren't going to be interested in Christianity. So
Yeah. Right.
I don't care.
Right.
But that's not a fallacy. But I don't think that conversations like this should be limited to like these kind of rules, because the whole argument they're trying to make is illogical,
Yeah.
and no one's going to police you. Like, there's no police here. It's just a conversation. So I don't really care, and I don't think those rules are set up. Anyways, I'm just sort of trying to make a more appealing argument than them. And I
Yeah.
don't actually think like adhering to strict rules of debate is necessary. So, because that's not in fact how people win. Now, someone like Andrew Wilson or Stephen Bonnell are really just one huge, like all they do is ad hominem attacks and fallacious arguments. Usually, Andrew does that exclusively with me, and you know, I mean, I get it. Like, he can't even have an argument with me about something; it has to be about me. That's how obsessed he is. So,
Yeah. It's true.
you know, that gets annoying. But I don't mind that either, because you can just say, like, look, dude, you're personally obsessed with me. Can we talk about something else?
Right.
And it usually ends up being about my dick or something, which is like, okay, dude, that's not really other. But my point here is that, like, this is an illegitimate question to ask: is there a God or not? Because that's like asking, is there love or not? Or asking if there's truth or not. And, or I'd like to use a better analogy. If you and I were brother and sister and we're asking whether our dad existed, because one of us is very mad at our dad and the other of us is very much on our dad's side, it wouldn't make any sense. We shouldn't have the argument about whether our dad exists.
Yeah.
If I'm just trying to say I'm mad at dad, and then I say, like, I don't even think he exists,
Yeah.
your response would be, I'm not having an argument about that. That's stupid.
Yeah.
He exists. You're just mad at him. And that's
Yeah.
my point with these people too. And all atheists. And I also don't believe in God. I don't think anyone believes in God. It's not up for belief. We all, though we may not know it, believe in God. Because otherwise, there are huge expanses of our knowledge and things that every child takes for granted that assume God in the sense of a ground of being and thought and all the things that make us different than animals. All of those assume the existence of God. If you have a soul or a conscience or reason or any of these things that the Enlightenment takes for granted, you believe in God. Whether that's the God of the Bible or the God of Muslims or the God of this or that, okay, whatever. But you believe in God. So this isn't even a debate, and I don't think Christians should. By saying, let's have this debate, you're saying you can. There are two positions. I think neither of which exist. I believe in God. I do not believe in God. It makes about as much sense to say, for a brother and sister to say, I believe our Father exists, or I don't believe our Father exists, or existed. He could be dead or whatever, but like you can't really have a debate about that. Nor can you debate love or truth. But when you get into that and then they deny the existence of love and truth, I think it becomes clearer, like that you can't really do this, what you're doing. But we'll see. Your claim was love is God, and when she gave an example of how she could say the same about anger, your response was yeah, but God is love, and you wonder where she came from frustrated. Yeah, there was. I would like at this part. I didn't anticipate her saying that. I was just saying if I should have put it this way: if you believe in love, and then I say God, love is God, then you would. By believing in love, you would believe in God. And you would be a theist.
Right, as a hypothetical.
And I'm just saying, I'm not saying that's a proof of anything. I'm just saying, from my perspective, you'd be a theist.
Yes.
Because to believe in love is to believe, right? And God is love.
Yeah.
So then you believe in God.
But she also said love is
Same
real,
with truth.
so she's also being a source of frustration.
Yeah. And I think her saying, I don't think love is real, is a much more effective rhetorical point on my side. Because sort of people will say stupidly, I don't believe in God. But people really won't say, I don't believe in love or I don't believe in truth. Because that becomes more problematic. And you recognize when someone says, I used to believe in love, but I no longer believe in love. That's an emotional statement.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you say oh, what happened? And you find out she's lying. But if someone said, and I think that's what's going on here. These people are saying, I don't believe in God. Like you can believe in another person in the sense of trust.
Yeah.
But they've used equivocation to say oh, okay. And I understand how you can say that. You and I could say I don't believe in Dad. I don't believe that he is fatherly towards us. I no longer believe in him. Mm-hmm. But then if I go, well, prove to me it exists, you'd say well, what the fuck are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. But that's what these people, these so-called atheists, have done.
Ashes to Ashes, thank you very much for the $5 super sticker.
Thank you.
First super chat in a while on the Ben Thorpe, aka Abel channel. Getting that going again. Also, really quickly, I want to tell everybody, okay, I'm sorry to keep cutting you off, but I do think
problem.
it's important to figure out. Pugio Fide, Ben Thorpe, aka Abel, is my dad's channel. I'm going to make that Pugio Fide because he's already monetized and has
That's
almost
like
2,000 subscribers.
my religious channel. The reason we're having it be a different channel for now, we'll see if it works, is because I want to be able to talk to other Christians without necessarily all the drama background.
Exactly.
If they research what I'm doing, they'll research these topics. And of course, my name is Ben Thorpe. They can look me up elsewhere, but it's kind of like not what I'm doing. Now, the word Pugio Fide came from, which means the dagger of faith, came from an association that we had through signs from God of a knife, right? Remember?
Wasn't it that you were out with Cooley and you found a gun? Like a
trickster knife.
Like a knife.
Yes, but that came as a confirmation I had been talking about. I guess I had been talking about Pugio Fide.
Yeah, you read it. It's like
There's
an
a book
essay
called
or something.
Pugio Fide, yeah.
And you liked it.
It's supposedly anti-Semitic. It was in the 14th century, I believe the church required Jews to attend lectures about the Christian faith. Mm-hmm. And they were free to like refute them too, which is really interesting because, you know, in the Middle Ages, they were really into debates.
Yeah.
And even like with Luther, you know, it's kind of interesting because like everyone thinks like, oh, let's get medieval on his ass, which is like, right. And so Luther was a monk.
Yeah.
Who said he had some problems. Okay. He was given a trial, which in this case is like a very similar, like, and he would have been prepared for the trial because that's how theological formation took place. You would have to like become a rhetorician on like, they had what were called the sentences of Peter Lombard, all these different issues, like, right? Like, so it's like St. Thomas Aquinas. And the idea is you say like, oh, in favor of this, against this, and here's my resolution, right? And that was how you were trained. So it was adversarial, which is kind of neat, which is way more interesting than just like, today we're going to learn about the American Revolution, 1776, this happened, 1777, this happened, or whatever would be before that. 1761, the Boston Tea Party occurred. Instead, it's like everything is like, here's a question. And then you say the pro and the con. Like, if you ever read Thomas Aquinas, it's kind of neat.
Yeah, that is cool. But
and even when
like,
people were
then,
in trouble, I mean, obviously, if you stole something, you'd have a trial. But if you were like, if they're like, hey, you're saying something that people are saying is off, and like you're wearing a collar because he was a monk and I think a priest too, Martin Luther. So like, okay, so like we're going to ask you about that. And people would come to these trials, people on his side and against him. And it was like, it wasn't like these court cases you've seen me in where they're just like, shut up. Yeah. It's going to be better for you to shut up. And then this machine just rolls over you. It was like actually kind of quite spirited, right? And they all knew, whether they ended up being lawyers, like church lawyers, or all of them were trained this way. So it was like, it wasn't like when I go to court, I have no idea how you file a motion. But they all were, like anyone, other than like a lay person who's going to say some crazy shit, it's usually going to be someone within it who's going to say like, I actually think this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then they bring them to a trial for heresy, in which the whole point was, did you say this? And they could say, I didn't say that. Or they could say, if I said that, or if it was misinterpreted, I recant it. I believe what the church believes. And they would always be innocent if they did that. But they have to say it like truly in my heart. Okay. So you're given like the script on how to get out of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, then if you go and do the opposite again, it's going to be different. But it's kind of it's kind of a lot of trust involved in it. Like, listen, people are saying this about you. Here's some writings we have. What's up? Right? And on many issues, they could say like, okay, well, that's a matter where there's wiggle room. But on some things they would say like, there's no wiggle room here. Like this has been decided. Do you know what I mean?
And if they lost the trial, they would get excommunicated?
They would get excommunicated and then the secular authority, in other words, the king or noble or whatever, could have a separate punishment on behalf of the, let's say, the Commonwealth, to say like, you're now going to be silenced. But you could be excommunicated. You could just be labeled a heretic, not excommunicated, which just means you can't. You're just labeled as someone who's not speaking on behalf of the church. You could be defrocked. You could be, if you're a bishop, you can be. You know what I mean? There's a million different things that can be done.
Yeah.
And generally, although we say like, "Oh, you're going to get medieval on his ass," what should they say? What's the craziest system that there's ever been? We were watching a documentary.
You're gonna go Chekhov on his ass?
Stalinist.
Stalin.
Like, so Stalin
That
probably
was
in one
crazy
day did more of that stuff than happened in the entire Middle Ages.
Yeah.
The
that
number
was
of people
crazy
who
shit.
the Inquisition found guilty and then the secular authorities killed, which was not the church doing it, but like you can say in a sense, okay, they handed them over if they were deemed to be like an absolute threat to society, which maybe they shouldn't have, but it's in the thousands. It's not like millions and millions of people. It's like in the thousands total in the entirety of Europe, and most of those in Spain during the Inquisition, where the monarchy was especially like trying to root out heresy because they were facing the threat of the Moors who collaborated with Jews. And the church often, like the Pope often told the Spanish monarchs, like, easy, you're going a little too hard. But like, they had their own right to do that. So the church was almost always lenient. And there were what are called the Papal States in the southern part of Italy. And people they always wished they could be tried, because that would be a secular authority that was also run by the Vatican, if you understand. They owned that.
Oh, yeah.
Generally, you got the best treatment in Europe in the Papal States. Like, they were the easiest, the gentlest, and all this kind of stuff. So this idea that the Catholic Church were these like bloodthirsty maniacs, it's really not true. They were like nerds, you know what I mean? And yes, they would sometimes say like, oh, you're just not going to get on board. Okay, so like, okay, can you be quiet? No. Okay, well, okay, like you're and the idea was, and it's an interesting idea, which is worse, to kill a person bodily or to be an agent in killing thousands of souls by teaching wrongly? And the answer is the latter, right? Killing souls is much worse than killing bodies, although you're not exactly killing souls by teaching heresy, but you can make an argument you're contributing to the death of souls. And I know that you and I in our own lives have both, now that we've kind of looked at it a little bit intellectually, you can say that Catholic Jansenism has affected both of us, right? Like a Calvinistic Catholicism has caused us like a lot of pain and suffering, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like, if that goes back to this guy Jansen in France, ironically, although it went to Italy, Ireland, and that's how it came to New England. If this could have been headed off by him being like I don't know that you shouldn't have done it, sucks so much. It sucks so much what Jansenism did. But I agree that it's really better to, like, in many ways the church believes it's better to have it out, like talk about it. Okay, you make your point, we'll make our point. We will say like there are some lines here, but if you can wiggle in, then we're good,
Yeah.
So the idea that the Catholic Church is authoritarian, it's also like super intellectual. And of course, it is from these disputations that universities began, and now universities are seen as like anti-Catholic. But yes, Irish Americans, yes. So
They deserve it.
what was my point? Where did we get off on this?
I don't remember. I think somebody in chat said something that I don't. You
No,
wanna
we
just
got
keep
off on
watching
the
call?
argument, the disputations, like Martin Luther, back and forth. That I was just saying, I think debates, like I was saying, like
Oh,
this idea that debates are this strictly like almost like autistic thing now, where you just are like saying like the old like fallacies are not allowed. Everyone has to be pleasant and polite. Nothing can be personal or sort of like emotional.
oh yeah,
Right,
yeah.
that it's not spirited
Yeah.
is, which kind of is like when you did debate or forensics, right? Like, so this idea like, okay, now let's like flip sides. So like pretend you care about the exact opposite thing,
Yeah.
right? And or you're arguing for it. It's like kind of autism embodied, right?
Yeah. Very technical. But even then, they were still
It
like,
could be-
well, if you make a great case and you're convincing and you're charming, it does count in your favor. So.
Right, but you're not supposed to say like compared to this dweeb over here, right?
You really want to listen to what this nerd has to say?
It's supposed to be pleasant and kind of bougie.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Enlightenment originally was bougie, but like it's become bougie. But then these people manipulate it to be like passive aggressive
Ultra
bougie,
passive aggressive.
and it's time for us to say like I don't care. I'm not being
Yeah.
polite and pleasant.
Yeah.
But they've got Catholics or Christians by the balls because Christians have all said, "Oh yes, we'll never raise our voices. God forbid we come across as the Inquisitor."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but even the Inquisitor, the Grand Inquisitor in Spain, was mostly a nerd and was into debates and stuff. Were there some people who are wound up and assholes? Yeah. But if you want to find those people, find them in the modern world who rejects Christianity, not in the medieval world, which had a spirited. So I'm saying like the debate sphere should come back to life.
Yeah.
But it should be like that. It should be rhetorical, not like autistic. Yeah. And if you look at someone like Christopher Hitchens is a master rhetorician, but he's a bitch, but he's just
Yeah.
like such a disgusting, he's like flailingly failing to do all the rules of politeness. He's just so gross, misinformed, lying constantly because he's just a bitch who didn't like his daddy, who represented to him tradition. Okay, I get it. But like then the other thing was to be like the Christian thing was to be like we win by being like remaining autistic.
Yes.
And not saying like, hey,
Yes.
Chris, you suck, dude. You're gross. Anyways, but he probably would have won if they went personal because he was just really good at being an asshole.
Yeah.
But anyways, I hope he's enjoying whatever it is that bought him. But anyways, I think people generally like Christopher Hitchens because he kind of loved God.
Debate show, but only logical fallacies and category errors are allowed.
Well, that's called debating on the internet.
Yeah, that's
So I'd
called
like to
modern day
introduce some
debate,
more substance.
The Crucible,
Crucible,
literally
is just
everything you've ever
one
heard of.
Huge like bullshit.
The
factory.
master redditor. Really quickly,
It
everybody.
doesn't age well. The Hitchens stuff. It doesn't age well.
He does. He comes across as like a
An asshole. A nice person
asshole.
would say like,
yeah.
well, if I was open-minded to both sides, this guy just seems like he's angry at God.
Yeah.
Why not just own it?
Okay, I am going to end the stream on Thorpe TV. If you are on Thorpe TV, I'm redirecting you to Ben Thorpe, aka Abel. Okay.
Look at these numbers, Grace.
It's great numbers, and I want them on your channel so you get the watch hours and shit, okay? So
Yeah.
I'm ending the stream. I'm
Gotta get
redirecting
that
to my
money.
dad's channel. Press go to next stream.
Money,
okay?
money. How does that song go? Money.
All I really want to see is money. I don't really need any money.
Why don't you
My
play
bitch.
that when
Money,
someone
go.
donates to you?
I want to, but it's not a copyright thing now. I wanted to put it on.
5
yeah.
seconds of it?
And get a money gun. So you get $1 bill out of the money gun if it's like a small dono. If it's like $1, But then if it's big, it's like.
Yeah, and then you can have you like having to go down on all fours and rake it up.
Yeah, right. Clean up
And they
time.
can all have their whatever fetish they're into.
All right, everybody just got redirected over to this channel, so they're gonna come over. Okay, don't worry about the drop in viewers. They're all coming over. Let's continue. Let's continue. All right, they're all coming over. Don't worry about the numbers. We have to at some point take them and bring them over to the other channel.
Okay.
Give them 50 minutes. I told them a million times. They're all coming over. Don't worry about it.
So, anyways, what I'm saying is the alliance, like the way in, like I think that debate has gotten into like a dead end.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to. It could reopen up again. And I do applaud the ortho bros for bringing rhetoric back into it and personality back into it. But
Yeah.
to do it by being assholes for Jesus is like so stupid.
Interesting concept.
But you can argue it's better than being a cuck or
Yes.
like a soy boy for Jesus, which is how most Protestants approach it. Like, God forbid. You know, that's their thing is, God forbid I act like a man who has like testosterone flowing in his body.
Yep.
God forbid.
God forbid.
And that's why these people went crazy, because I was like, hey, sister, easy. And they just about like
they just
blew
about
their-
lost it.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is why these people feel so comfortable going online, because they assume Christians are just going to be like ultra polite, and I would have had a lot more to say to her if it was a little freer. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to make my point.
Yeah.
You're just you're defining God into existence by saying
Yeah,
that he's
'cause-
definitionally the same as love. Like, that's weird.
Because
What if
now
I-
I could say
Well, if
hunger
if my
hunger is God,
definition
and
of-
everybody that ever
Hey,
feels
no, wait.
hunger
Now she's saying
is
I
now
interrupted her, but
Sixth interruption.
I
from
was
her.
responding to him,
Yep.
and then she jumped off
She
that point
totally cut you off.
before I could respond. So I guess that's it would be natural that I would respond to him, though, not her.
Right. Because he
But-
just asked you a question. She's six times from her.
Yes, because they've experienced hunger, which is what I'm going to now say is the definition of God.
Well, in other words, if it says in the New Testament, God is love. It doesn't say God is hunger.
Why should I care?
So I'm saying, like,
Why should I care what the New Testament says?
I'm just saying, like, I'm
I
not
have
saying
written on
love
this.
is
So
God
I've
is
written
love
on this
because
piece of paper that hunger is
Yeah,
God.
she cut me
So
off
why
again
should I
there.
care
Yep.
what this piece
Seven.
of paper says versus
And I
what the Bible
understand.
says?
I understand.
You know,
this.
why does
This
that matter?
I didn't anticipate this because they didn't understand what I was saying. I wasn't saying.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying if I say God is love, I win.
Right.
I was just saying if I say love is God and you believe in love, then you believe in God in the sense that you believe in love.
Right.
And like that actually is a mathematical proof. It's like the most basic syllogism. If A is B and B is C, then A is C, right? Now, of course, you could say like, well, why is love God? And I did eventually answer that, but like they're kind of saying, well, you could replace anything with God. You could say, this pen is God. You believe in this pen, therefore you believe in God. And that's true. It is the point I was making.
Yeah, but then what you wanted them to say is, well, why is God love? Right? Something like that. Okay, I believe in
And
love.
I did answer that, but it took me a while, and I got a little confused here because she was reading it backwards. Whatever. I mean, it was just this hyper thing. It's like, I don't know why not just say like, okay, if your definition of God is love, then anyone who believes in love believes in God. True. And that doesn't get me to be a Christian or anything like that. Okay. Except that it does say in the New Testament, God is love, which apparently she's got a big problem with. Why should I care? I mean, why not be
Why
a
should
little
I
bit
care?
more respectful?
Why should I care?
I'm
Okay,
not-
I'm gonna write down God is hungry.
I'm
Why
not
should I care?
assuming. Obviously, I would. There's a lot of quotes I could say about someone like you from the New Testament that are like would be intended to make you care. I'm just saying the Christian definition. It's not arbitrary. The Christian definition. Jesus says, "I'm the way, the truth, and the life," and also God is love is a quote from the New Testament. And I'm saying, if you believe in love, then you believe in God. At least as far as that goes.
By the way, we just hit 2K on your channel. Subscribers.
On what channel?
Ben Thorpe. Pugia Fide with Ben Thorpe. I renamed it. And 2K and monetized and 91 watching. So
Not bad.
not bad. Not
Jim
bad.
Bob. All right.
Suck it, Jim.
So do you understand what I'm saying? I hadn't worked all this out. I didn't anticipate this thing that they're doing. But actually, this is, to be honest, I fumbled and I was like, But like, actually, this is the most solid part of my presentation
Okay.
because it is a mathematical proof. If God is love and you believe in love, then you believe, I guess it would go, if you believe in love and God is love, then you believe in God. Like, that's actually incontrovertible.
Yes.
If someone says they believe in God and they also acknowledge that God is love, which you could question, then
No, you said that wrong. If somebody says they believe,
Believe
in
in love.
love,
Believe in love.
and then they say
I
that
believe
love
in
is
love.
God,
God is love, I believe in God,
yeah.
is a syllogism. But then someone might say, why do you believe God is love? Okay, but if, no, this is what it'd be. If you believe in love, and if God is love, then
You believe in God.
you believe in God,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
those
then
are
you
both,
would have to
those are
agree.
both if propositions, and they're debatable. Now,
Yeah.
I did eventually get to where, yes, right. It hasn't got you anywhere. It's got you somewhere because now you can have a conversation. What is the link between God and love? Which is a very different conversation. And I did eventually get to that. Let's skip to that. But I'll admit here, I fumbled a little bit.
Skip to what?
Let's just keep watching until
Oh, I
you'll
see.
see where I did actually
Okay.
make this point because
Okay.
I just got a little confused.
Yeah, okay. How do you
Doesn't
feel
mean
about
I'm wrong.
How do you feel about distinction having mod? I know there have been tensions between you two.
It gives me something I can hold over his head.
Okay.
Who gets to decide?
No, that's fine. I'm just illustrating something. You don't have to be so defensive. But if God, if
Sofa.
God is love, which in other words, love is not a
See, I said it there.
so it can't
If
be,
God is love,
Yep.
like hunger, where it has like a relationship to things. Then I just don't see what. I understand there's a big gap between saying
Okay,
I
let's
believe
call
in
God
love,
anger.
I believe in God.
now she
Anger is
interrupted
God.
me again.
Yep. That's 8 interruptions from Promise.
And now she's going to make the same point she made before. Anger is God. Hunger is God. It's not actually my point, but like, do you see what I'm saying? She didn't really understand my point, but I didn't make it clear. I should have just said, if a person believes in love, and if God is love, then that person believes in God. And I think most people recognize, or most people would be fine with the first premise. And their question would be in the second premise. And then you say, like, well, how is God love? And actually then you get into the Trinity, relationality, etc.
It's 9th? Apparently it's 9th. I'm too blonde to count. I'm like Ben's Dr. Crispy. You know that fucking guy.
That's right. Dr. Crispy Rothschild. Okay. Easy.
I'm not timing you out because I'm afraid of conflict. I'm timing you out because you're derailing the conversation. By the way, Jimmy, the master, thank you for the $25 super chat or cash app.
Wow. Jimmy's
Thank
back.
you, Jimmy.
Jimmy's back. We were worried, Jimmy. Thank you.
Jimmy, glad to have you back.
All right. Let's keep going, Grace, and I'll show you where I get to my point.
All right.
Anger towards other humans is God. So now that's God. And if you've experienced anger toward another person, then you are a theist.
That's actually kind of true because anger
No, because
involves
God
justice.
is
Okay. Interesting.
But whatever.
love. That's
Okay,
that is the
there's your
definition
claim. Cool.
of
So
God.
your claim is that God is love. What is your proof or your
Yeah.
evidence that God is love and God isn't anger?
Because we experience
Here.
love and we experience our nature as being an image of God, and to be treated as
Hold
a
on.
thing.
I
and
experience
not
Interruption
anger
again.
as well.
Mhm.
is-
I experience anger as well. Why is that not God? Why is love God?
I'm not.
I just
I'm not
explained
talking
it.
about the emotion.
Wait, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
I just explained it to her because she doesn't understand. She's just saying, like, I have this one point. I was saying because what we experience most deeply as humans is relationality. And that relational capacity comes to us as being as creatures who are created in the image of God. So now you could say, like, how does the lovingness how's that an image of God? Then you can go into the Trinity being relationality itself. Irreducible relationality of the Trinity is imprinted on us, that we are inherently relational to God and to each other. And there is an aspect of that relationality which transcends biology, which actually I used the wrong point with this guy, which comes up. I said that your love for your kids, as he expressed, right? Like, I want what's best for them, even if I never see them again. Because they
Right.
all, unfortunately for him, believe in God.
Yeah, dude, no. So first of all, this guy is snipped, which he admits.
No,
later on.
don't.
Oh,
I
did
was
I
gonna wait
spoil
on
it?
that.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. So he's literally castrated, and all of
Yeah.
his kids believe in God.
He's a castrated atheist.
And all
And
his
his
his kids are like,
think
"Fuck you,
he's-
Dad. I believe in God."
I castrated myself
Suffer.
so that you would disbelieve in
Suffer.
the Heavenly Father.
Suffer, Paul. Suffer.
That's even worse, Dad. What are you going to do next? Butt fuck yourself to prove that God doesn't exist? He's great in that sense.
Sorry, I cut you off though. What were you saying? Oh, your point about biology.
And he'd be like, yes, peg me, and I will prove that I am the martyr for atheism. I'm atheism's saint. Great.
Great argument.
Bend
bro.
over, dude. Go ahead. It must be the wife or ex-wife, I imagine, right? Must be
He has
an
the-
interesting one.
He has the eyes of a divorced man.
Hmm.
But I could be wrong. He's not trying to hate.
Hey, he's on this. He's on. Hey, he's doing better. Well, I wasn't going to say that. He's doing equally as well with me in terms of being with a beautiful young woman.
Oh my god. After everything I've
Well,
done
I mean, she's more
for
of
you.
an adult. She's more modelish. You're more like Girl Next Door, which is way, way more pretty, kind of.
Love. I'm saying to care about someone else without self-interest is, I think, what most people would say is the definition of love. And that love, if I say that love is God, then you would be a theist, right?
No, I guess it was just,
No,
if
no,
you
I don't.
agree with me that love is God.
Yeah.
Believe that
in
love exists.
I don't believe. No, I don't. I don't believe love
don't.
exists at all. Love
No.
is.
I
Love
don't.
is an
You don't
English
believe
word
in
that
love?
we
Nope, I
use.
don't. Nope.
No, I don't. I don't believe that love
This is where I
exists.
got him.
I think
No,
love
I
is
don't.
a word that we use in English, and in other languages they have way cooler words and more descriptive ones
Oh,
to
baby.
define different types of love. But
Amor.
love is a
Oh,
word that we use to
l'amor.
communicate. Sometimes it's a feeling towards somebody else. Sometimes it's an
Way
act
cooler
towards somebody
words.
else.
What are you
There's all
talking
sorts
about?
of things. Paul, what do you think?
You
love
don't
is?
think
She's
That
calling you
exists as a-
uncultured
think love
swine.
exists?
No, love is
No,
love
and I
is-
just explained
No.
why I don't.
Yeah, we don't think love as an entity exists. Love is a description of actions and or feelings, and they're all equally, they're all defined, they all are wrapped up as just versions of empathy, which in our previous callers we've literally talked about
Not
how
true.
all social species definitionally have empathy of some to some degree or
Nah,
another.
that's also not true. Depends
And
on
I
who
see
you
no
make.
Okay.
non-naturalistic reason I don't see even need the reason.
Bob Brown, thank you
Tell him to bring out the lobster.
for the $5.
Yes, Bob.
Don't interrupt Ben, please. Are you talking to Timu Anne Hathaway or me?
Timu?
I mean,
Anne Hathaway's Timu her.
yeah, that's kind of true. She's gorgeous. I can't lie.
Yeah.
If I was Brantley, I'd be slobbering all over her. I want to see her tits.
That we need to appeal to anything other than natural biological processes to understand that empathy helps us as a social species. So I don't see the reason why you're labeling this God on top of it. I don't see the distinctions that you're making.
No, so
And I definitely don't think that love is an entity.
you don't believe that love exists. You don't believe that you love your children. You believe that
I should have said, you know what I should have said? You don't
Richard,
believe
what
that you
did I say?
have love for your children.
You don't believe that you... Yes, yeah, right.
And all
What did
they're
I
doing
say
is
that
saying, I
love
mean,
is
look, is like, I get their thing is like, well, but for something to exist, it has to be a thing in the sense of physical.
Right.
So,
Right.
but you can just, if you say like, so you don't believe you have love for your children. And he'll go, well, you didn't listen to what I said, Richard. Don't even know my goddamn, he's trying to call me a dick. He's trying to call me a dick. All right.
to see if you're listening
I'm
and caring at all what I said.
Ben.
Listening, and also listening
Sorry,
and caring.
Ben,
It's like
I'm-
it's like this passive aggressive thing. You're not caring.
Did you even care about
But
what I said,
ironically,
bro?
right? You don't believe in caring, Paul.
Right.
Caring.
Caring is just a set of propositions.
Caring
that
is
are-
a preposition. It's empathy. Ants care. Okay. Go ask an ant to repeat what you says, and he won't. Because no one.
Yeah,
will.
Paul, go
I
tell
don't care.
Go
Paul.
tell an ant.
I'm here for the hot bitch. Hey, Eve.
What are you doing with this guy? Hey, Shotty.
Listen. Let's
Very
continue
bad.
this over a few drinks. Am I right?
Babe.
No, no
Ben,
problem.
What were you listening to what I was
mean, we
saying
all-
at all?
Were you listening, Ben?
What I'm saying is we all know what the word love means.
You're
And
appealing to
I'm saying
intuition. You're appealing to intuition. What did
Yeah,
both
sure.
Promise and I laid out what we think love is? Were you listening, and can you repeat back to us what we said what we think love is?
That's a
you,
good
you
response.
said that you don't think love exists. You think it's a biological thing, sort of. A biological
that-
process.
It can be. I think it's a word that we use to describe certain things. Some can be biological elements. Some are just us using that word. I don't.
But
think
why would you
love
use it if
exists
it's not
as its own
biological thing?
It's not like some thing out here existing. It's a word that we use. Just like I use the word joy to describe something that whatever I decide that word is defining for me or
That's not how it
expressing
actually
for me.
works.
I don't think joy
So-
is this thing out here that exists in reality. It's a word we use
Okay.
to define and describe certain things we experience or express as humans.
Right. It's a
Okay,
property
do you
of an
think
action.
truth exists?
And I don't
In other words, aren't you
disagree with
trying
that.
to Say that what we're saying is true.
Without humans, you don't
Truth
have.
is the extent to which something, a proposition, conforms to reality as
spiritual
adjudicated by predictive power. Truth is a property of a proposition.
Yeah.
So do you have a problem with using the word truth to say like this is true? Or
Truth, yes, because truth
like,
is a
you-
property of
should
something.
we-
Because truth is a property of something else, not an entity floating around. Just like yellow is the property of an object potentially, and not there's
But
yellowness
yellow
floating around.
doesn't exist.
Right.
Yellow doesn't exist.
Yellow is
Okay.
a property of an
I
object.
mean,
right.
Okay.
I think most people think love and truth exist.
That doesn't.
and
We're not
that
here to
they're
talk
not
about what.
physical.
We're not here to
Who
talk
cares
about what
what
other
most people believe?
Yeah.
I do.
Well, if you
Uh,
don't love other people, you treat them like things. And
Who said we don't love other people? We said love is a property love is a label we apply to certain behaviors, actions, and feelings.
Okay. I would just say that if you believe in love and truth and you believe in God, and I would say like someone who wants to say, I don't believe in those things or I want to redefine them in some kind of way.
How is redefining love? How is redefining? How is love being a label for an action, motivation, feeling? Redefining it.
It's more than a. I mean, I understand you could.
Ben needs to go to debate university.
I'm talking
True.
about what someone
Not
would
as
do,
a
like,
feeling.
say,
Not as a
say,
feeling, Ben. It's not as a feeling. It is a
die.
property of a feeling. We have many feelings. Some of them we consider to be loving. That's why we have to label.
He keeps saying that love is a feeling.
That
Yes.
feeling felt like something else.
And
That
the
doesn't
problem
mean-
with the
Yeah,
word
trying to
love is
express
that
to you that
people
doesn't
can see
make-
it as a feeling. But if I say love is caring about other people or wanting the best for another person, that's not a feeling.
Yes.
And sometimes it feels bad to love another person.
Yes. Right.
Like when you have to kick them in the fucking asshole for being. Well, actually, that does feel good. I'll take that back.
Jay Dyer is also offering a philosophy course now. It's $1,000.
Really?
Yeah, you need to get in on that fucking grift,
Jay
man.
Dyer.
Yeah,
He's the worst.
Snigger all you want, okay?
That
Start
is not
grifting.
how the word is said. Snicker.
No, sniggering. That's a word.
Snicker. Snigger is not a word.
No, snigger is a word. Snigger. See?
Oh,
I'm
what
right.
about snicker?
Laugh. Of course, snicker is a word.
It's the same word.
No.
Snicker. It's the adjective.
Oh, okay. Is snigger a swear word? It's. I mean, it's. I think it's like English. I don't know. I read it in Harry Potter.
You should
I
try
remember
to
it from
go.
Harry
You
Potter.
should go to. We should drive down to the Hershey factory, and you should say like, not only are going to be Snicker bars, there's going to be Snigger bars. Let me tell you what's in those.
Snigger bars.
Come down with your recipe.
Snigger.
I made a Snigger
A little
bar.
bit of crack. A little bit
Hey.
of Cocoa Puffs.
Don't be niggardly. Give me the contract.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail. I casually said the word snigger.
Yeah, I do recognize that it is a word.
Doesn't elevate love to be an entity that exists. And you're appealing to people's intuition. I was one of the people just a few years ago who gave this no serious thought at all and just went around with my intuition thinking, sure, love's a thing, evil's a thing, good's a thing.
Yeah.
Because I spent no time thinking about it seriously. Then I had a bit of a crisis, and I had to
A bit
think
of a
about these
crisis.
things
You don't even have
seriously
testicles at the
and
end
look
of
at
it.
my own motivation
That's a serious
and how
crisis,
things
bro.
work.
Poor Paul.
And it's like, no, you know what?
Your sperm
My
gets
intuition
absorbed
that
back
evil
into
was
your
a
own
thing
body.
was me being sloppy with language.
But when you were talking about your children, I'm not trying to make it personal, but you almost seem to say like I'm going against my feelings that I want to spend time with my children because I want what is good for them, which is the definition of love in a non-emotional sense. In so doing that, I think you're affirming the existence of
No.
something which is spiritual.
I was affirming
which is
I was affirming
basically
that
God.
I was affirming that I label those priorities as loving priorities, but they are priorities that you are describing in a certain way. That doesn't make love
But
exist.
Grace, in my opinion, what they do is they say, "I'm going to give you the definition of love." Then I say, like, it doesn't exist. It's a word that has a definition. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
A word has a
Essentially-
definition.
Essentially, is the issue of nominalism.
Yes.
Like if you say, I wonder what you think about this. Yellow is the easier one, okay? And this is where you get into the Jim Bob stuff, which I was trying to avoid because, like, once you get into that, it actually becomes a legitimately tricky philosophical problem.
Okay.
Which is where they want you to just like kind of grind your brain. But if I say to you, does yellow exist? What is your response?
Yes.
Where does it exist?
It's a color.
I understand that. That's just a synonym.
I would say yellow is a concept that exists.
If there
It
were no
exists in-
yellow things, would yellow exist?
No. No.
If there are 5 chairs, right? Is chairness a thing?
Yes.
Chairness. So you're saying chairness exists? So somewhere there's a world in which yellowness, oneness, two-ness, all those things exist spiritually.
Yes.
What we
Yes.
do is we say that's in the mind of God. Mm-hmm. But the problem, is
Excuse you.
if you overdo how actually yellowness exists more in the mind of God than it actually does in its manifestations among objects, like a banana.
Yeah.
Is a banana, and is a banana yellow?
A banana reflects yellow light back
No,
to us.
no. You're doing the science thing.
Oh,
That's just a
okay.
different
Is
way
it
of
yellow?
saying
It can be different colors. A banana isn't always yellow.
Is any banana perfectly yellow?
No.
If you take a banana and peel it back sensually and put it just the tip in your mouth, are you a slut? Yes.
Yes.
Unless you're a dude.
And then you're just being funny. The double standard. Unbelievable.
No, but okay, do we all know what a circle? Do you know what a circle is?
Yes.
Are there any true circles that you ever encounter amongst the variety in the world?
I think a computer could make
No.
a pure circle.
Nope. No.
Okay.
No. Because a circle doesn't, the line that makes the circle, there is no line. There's no line.
What? What does that mean?
A circle is a series of points equidistant from one point. Uh-huh. That's how it's defined.
Okay.
What is a point? Is this a point? Let's get a close-up on that. Is that a point? No, that's... Is even when I make it like a dot... Is a dot a point?
Oh, I see what you're saying. No,
Is
because
it?
it still takes up space. A point takes up no space.
A point doesn't take up any space.
Yeah.
A line doesn't take up any space. And a circle doesn't take any space. So it actually
yeah.
only exists in your mind.
Okay.
And you see things that are more or less like a circle.
They're
And
representation.
you can say that's circular, but none of them are actually circles in the purest sense.
Okay.
So they're
that makes
circular.
sense. Uh-huh.
But if I say to you, draw a circle, and I'm an annoying teacher, I could say, wrong, Billy, wrong, Bobby, wrong, Billy, wrong, Bobby. You can't
You
draw
have your
one.
Dead Poet Society moment.
Even with one
None of those are circles.
Even with one of those compasses.
Because it still takes up space.
Yeah, and if you go in far enough on that line, it's a smudge of shit. You know?
Yeah.
So circleness only exists spiritually, right? In our minds. But we kind of know what a perfect circle is, even though we see approximations of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the problem becomes... So then an idealist will say like Plato, a Platonist will say, all of what we experience is just a shitty version of the forms which are manifest poorly in them.
Okay.
But Aristotle rejected that. And the church with him rejected that. Because we, of course, a Platonic Christian will say, the world is kind of an illusion. These are all just the thoughts of God. And you see God through everything. Did you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So what
Which
you were
means
just
you tend to-
describing is like this, right? Like this is what we see.
Those are like Ruby.
No, that's
Ruby
my
goes to geometry school class.
That's my point. Is like this is like what we see in the world, but this is like the concept that we're never actually going to see.
But even that's not.
Well, I did it
literally
hurriedly. Yeah, right. These are imperfect.
Hurriedly? What are we in 1823?
I was hurrying.
I did that rather hurriedly. How about like quickly.
I prefer to use formal English. Sorry, that was an
Hurry.
academic content.
She sniggered.
Yeah, have I been reading too much Jane Austen recently or something? Anyways, I don't read.
But my point, what's your fucking point? Yeah, my point is that they're all like shitty. Even your better one is still shitty.
No, my
compared
point
to
is
your
what
mental.
you were saying about Plato is like, this is what we experience, and just this is a
Yeah,
representation. This is what
right.
like God's mind is.
You get into a kind of dualism where you say like the spiritual is superior to the material. The material is always a poor example of the spiritual. But Aristotle more emphasizes that the form and the matter become the individual, which still remains connected with the form, but is like more real than like you could say, I'm created in the image of God. You're created in the image of God. You don't really have an existence. You're just a manifestation. You're like a God's idea, which is kind of true, right?
Okay.
You're God's idea.
Yeah,
And really, when I'm talking to you, I'm kind of talking to God.
that's right.
And
Yeah, no, I
like,
hear you.
I pay less attention to you. You see what I mean? But Aristotle's like, no. You got to pay attention to the individualities of things. It's the one and the many, right?
Yeah.
So the uniqueness of people is something we shouldn't sort of say like, well, that's just our physicality is a real part of us.
Yeah.
You could say who I really am is who I am on the inside, right? So that leads to all sorts of problems. But we use that kind of language commonly because we are like unclear about that. But you could have a movie where whoop, we switch souls, right?
Yeah.
I drink this thing, you drink this thing, and now when you talk, it's my voice. Like, read this. Every time I make Grace laugh, I get a shot of oxytocin. Does this mean love exists? And then I have your voice.
Aristotle did say birds are man.
And in Disney World, we can then explore how your soul in my body is like, what the hell? What's this thing dangling between my legs down to my knees? Why is it so big? And I go like, what happened to my fucking brain? What are these things? Why do I want to have sex with myself? My body.
Okay, yeah. We could switch souls in Disney World. Disney imagination.
But it doesn't make any sense because my soul is manifested in my body. I have a tall soul. I have a soul that's well endowed. You have a soul that is 5'10". That's only when I'm taking a picture and I'm scared because I don't know who I'm sending it to. I'm saying relaxed. You haven't seen it. I had stage fright.
Why are Grace's balls big as fuck? Oh my god.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, our
I mean, it's kind of interesting the way we just casually can like you can have a movie like that, and there are movies like that. Isn't there like a Rob Schneider movie like that called Hot Chick or something? And it's like,
Freaky Friday, a mom and a daughter switch bodies.
yeah, but
Their
it,
souls.
like more recently there was like Hot Chick,
Oh,
and so like
okay.
his voice is like in a hot chick, and it's like the hilarity of him being like a scumbag in a hot chick's body,
Yeah.
and as if that could ever happen. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So, whatever. I'm just saying these are kind of like they are using sort of like cheap nominalism to say, oh my God, do I think yellowness exists apart from yellow things? Duh. But it's not as easy as you think to like resolve that problem.
Yeah.
Now, actually, just to give you a little bit, like we were talking about mental furniture, that conversation about nominalism occurred in the 14th century. The 14th century, Grace.
Is that 1300s?
And prior to that, Yes. Prior to that, no one had ever had that conversation about whether words stood for things or whether, like, in some sense, they're just names for things and they're rather arbitrary. You get what I'm saying? And it's like hugely important today because what issue is all about that?
Transgenderism.
Transgenderism,
Yeah.
right. So in the 14th century, it was largely monks, devout Catholic monks, who had this conversation. But it's interesting the way, like, 600 years later, they would have had no idea. They would have never in a million years thought that a guy with a dick and balls was going to say, I'm a woman.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I really am a woman. But it's actually the man. But it took 600 years to get there. But they would have been like, oh, okay, like, no. But it is kind of interesting. What are these things, right? And once you start, that led the way to Protestantism, which led the way to secularism and atheism, which is what I encountered today. And they have this, like, kind of cheap knee jerk, like, oh, duh, obviously words are just words. They don't mean anything. That is a thing.
A reality. Yeah.
And that they're appealing to a kind of like common sense. But I'm re-appealing to like common sense over their common sense because it's actually really complicated. But I'm saying I'm not doing the Jim Bob thing. Talking about nominalism as a philosophical, because that's only important for people who are already on board. And to explore that is something you can do. If you're not on board, it's not going to get you there.
Yeah.
It's not going to get you there. It's kind of that, and that's why it's interesting. Nobody kind of makes this point. Thomas Aquinas did not produce the beautiful 5 proofs for the existence of God in order to convince atheists. Atheists didn't exist at the time. He only did it to show that there's a rational foundation for what we all know to be true. He didn't.
He wasn't trying to convince
He wasn't
non-believers.
Well, like everyone believed in God then. There were
Right.
no non-believers.
So-
That's a new, like, because in a sense, nominalism was coming up, like starting to exist around the time of Aquinas, but it was like seen as like a really arcane thing because you get into, but until nominalism flourished, you actually couldn't have this idea that like God, right? We all can use the word God, but what if it doesn't mean anything? Because it would be like, what do you mean? Of course God, right? Like we're just using this term God to represent something we all experience. It's not a question about whether or not God exists. Until you get into like nominalism and you follow it down through. So, point is back to these two.
The yellow doesn't exist. That was your point.
Yeah.
Go into nominalism a little bit.
But why bother? Just stay on the rhetorical and say like, so you don't think love exists, so you don't love your kids.
Yeah.
Okay, I win.
Yeah.
I
agree.
believe that love is real. I believe that I have love for my kids. I don't need to have some big fucking explanation about how like also mosquitoes do. I believe it's unique to humans. It's a spiritual reality, and it's the image of God in me. And so does everyone.
Yeah.
Boom. That's it. I don't need to get into like philosophy about it. I don't think we should. Unless we're talking about someone who's like in a philosophy, like why aren't you in a philosophy classroom if you believe that's true? Like, have you read Aristotle? Have you dealt with this stuff? It's like it's more complicated than you'd think. That's not what they're doing. They're hiding their anger at God behind this facade. And they want to pull you into this facade as if it's real when it isn't. You think this bitch here is having philosophical problems? No, she's just angry at her dad. I think probably her literal dad. And so I don't even think that's the issue. The issue is like God the Father. It's probably her literal dad. who was obviously a good-looking guy.
Interesting. The line itself chatted here. How can you possibly talk about love in a non-emotional sense? They don't even understand the concept.
Well, actually, so play it. Great segue back to the go.
Okay. Do you mind if I go to the bathroom
No.
and have a smoke? Please.
Smoking in the boys'
You're
room.
doing great. You're doing great. I'm having a good time. What? Is that condescending?
Patronizing.
But you were going
I love
against
you.
your
I'm trying to be
actual,
supportive.
biological feelings of wanting to spend time with your children.
We
and saying, if I
agree.
never
We
had
know
to
that.
see them again, what is
But
that?
Ben,
She
that-
interrupted
It's not
me
a
again.
That's
feeling.
not something
Twice.
that exists. It's something that's
priority.
happening. It's a priority. It's something that Paul has decided, and it's decisions that he
Isn't a priority a thing?
makes based off of feelings and emotions and whatever thought
Feelings and emotions. She goes back to it.
process he has based off of the standards
And his thought process, that would be appealing to reason.
that he set in his life. So that is not
That goes
something that
against-
exists. That
goes
if Paul
against
dies,
everything
that goes away.
biologically.
If Paul dies, that is gone. Because there's no one there to make that decision and do that.
See, now that I think an Aristotelian would agree with. When Paul dies, he's no longer in a position to do that because he's dead. But, and his kids no longer have to deal with him. But that doesn't mean that it's not real when he's alive.
It doesn't actually go against biology, because if I look at it purely biologically, I am no longer producing more children, so biologically my priority is naturally them, right? Because I'm not the only way my genes can propagate at this point. I was snipped, so I had to get so the only way I can get my genes to propagate now is through them. So actually,
So I actually didn't hear this point, but actually it's a better example of not love, but something uniquely human. Only a human male would. He says I was snipped. I assume he was asked before that. I assume it didn't happen when he was asleep. Although if I was his wife, I could see the argument. But my assumption is he voluntarily was snipped. Only a human being would do that. And actually it goes against the most primitive idea of evolution, is that like evolution is this force which wants to continue to inseminate. Although you could argue that like, well, it doesn't want to do that to the extent it reproduces so much that like they don't survive. But it's hard to understand actually this thing that he's illustrating and he laughs at, and she properly laughs at him about. Let's see if we just redo that again. And I would make the argument again psychologically. I'm just saying as a piece of advice. If you have a vasectomy, there's literally no advantage to. It's never a flex. Never a flex. It's not a flex in bed with bitches, which is interesting. Why don't women go, oh, phew, now we can really have a great time? That is not their response, which tells you something, right? It's not a flex with other dudes for obvious reasons, right? Do I have to explain how it's not a flex to say, like, I trolled my own virility? I don't know who it would be a flex for. That's something you take to the grave. And let's just watch her reaction when he openly acknowledges self-castrating.
actually, from a purely biological perspective, it does make sense as a priority.
Well, I'm just saying. We don't have to get into a big thing. I'm just saying, if you don't believe in love and truth, I actually agree. You don't believe in God. Like,
Okay,
I could have
I
told
think
you
if the
that.
word
We're
love and truth
atheists.
have no meaning for you,
We could have
then the word God
told
would
you
have.
from the very
Right,
beginning
did I
that
screw
we don't
up?
believe in a God. We don't believe a God exists, and I don't believe love exists. Do I experience love all the time? Does it vary?
Right.
of something existing as an entity or call of don't
The only way my genes can
Oh, here it is.
goes away.
Biologically.
If Paul dies, that is gone because there's no one
Paul's
there to
already
make that
dead.
decision and do that.
As a
It
reproducer.
doesn't actually go against biology because if I
let's
look
watch
at
her
it
face
purely
carefully.
biologically, I am no longer producing more children, so biologically my priority is naturally them, right? Because I'm not the only way my genes can propagate at this point. I was snipped, so I had to get so I only way I can get my genes to propagate now is through them. So actually, from a purely biological perspective, it does make sense as a priority.
Well, I'm just saying. You can.
I'd nod too.
We don't have to
Definitely.
get into a big thing. I'm just saying, if you don't believe in love and truth, I actually agree. You don't believe in God.
Okay,
I could have told you
if
that
the word
we're
love and truth
atheists.
have no meaning for you,
We could have
then the word God
told
would
you
have.
from the very
Interrupt
we
me
could have
again.
told you from the very beginning that we don't believe in a God. We don't believe a God exists, and I don't believe love exists. Do I experience love all the time? Does it look different towards different people? Yes. Do I use that word to describe varying emotions? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean love exists. I'm going to be totally honest. I'm not sure that you're equipped for this sort of conversation. I understand what you're trying to explain.
You're not equipped. As if this type of conversation requires some sort of study. But here's where she starts getting very angry. And I think she recognizes that she's just going to take the L over and over again. Which I do agree that's about where it ends. Because the existence of love. Now, here's what I want to say. This is what I think is like kind of the genius of this move that I made. You can have an argument. You can say you could have an argument. I don't believe in love. I don't believe in truth. I don't believe in our Father, like with your sibling. I don't believe in the existence of our Father, in the existence of truth, or in the existence of love. But when you say, like, especially the love and truth things, I don't believe in the existence of love, and especially love, because that goes right to the heart. You have this problem with the feelings thing. If someone says, I don't believe in the existence of love, is that a statement that someone can actually make? I don't believe in the existence of love? No. The only thing you can do vis-a-vis love is you can say, I no longer believe in love. I used to believe in it, and then I got hurt, and I don't believe in love. And that's how it's used in common parlance, right? Like, if you could say, I don't believe in love. And I think that's what atheists are saying when they're saying, I don't believe in God. It's not actually an intellectual statement. It's an emotional statement. And it comes always with it an anger and a sense of disappointment. Always. And that's the point I make here as we continue on. Just like if you say, I don't believe in love, that will come with it a sense of disappointment and hurt and victimhood. Always, 100% of the time. Now, someone could pretend to say, no, I actually don't believe in love. It's an intellectual thing. No kind of shade, but like, I just don't believe it exists. I believe it's all just a trick, a mind virus, and it's all an evolutionary trick. We're no different than the animals that are acting on pure instinct, but we just have this weird way in which we believe in the instinct as something other than what it is, which is just pure instinct. But that is also going to be someone who is like either autistic, can't experience relationality, or someone who's been hurt, or, you know what I mean? Someone who's deeply, deeply troubled. No normal human being would say that. But a lot of normal human beings would say, I don't believe in love. I gave it a try and it failed me. And I'm bitter and I'm not going to get hurt again. That's what these fuckers are saying. And I actually think the same, so changing it to believing in love is, I think, pretty good.
Express, but I think you should go back and listen to this call fully, because I'm not
I
sure
have
you're
a couple of
understanding the
times.
concept.
Understand
of
it
something
perfectly.
Existing as an entity or having existence in and of itself, or it being
You're
used
saying the
as
only
something
thing that
that we describe and define.
Here I interrupted her because she's being such a scolding cunt.
There is a difference
You're
between
saying
a
the only
word
thing
that we
that
use
can
to
exist
express
is a
ourselves
thing.
with, and
And I'm saying, I get where you're coming from. You're saying that the only types of things there are things, which makes no sense. But I get it. I do get it.
and something actually existing.
You're saying the only thing that can exist is the thing, and therefore you just really
Nope,
can't have a
that's not-
conversation
that's not-
beyond that.
That's not what I'm
Yes.
saying either. And we've had plenty of conversation here. It's not about not having a conversation.
No.
I do think you should go back and listen to this and go check out what people were saying in the chat. I'm sure there'll be comments. Maybe some of them will be more helpful than Paul and I were able to be, to try to point you in the direction of logic, to show you where we're unable to be convinced by what you're saying to us. It's not making sense because
I'm not trying to convince them of anything. And I don't really think that they have that's an issue. You don't have to be convinced. You're just having a conversation.
you're right. We don't believe love exists as its own thing. We don't believe that love exists outside of
I
what
agree
we
you
as
don't.
humans cool. But we don't believe that it exists outside of us using it as
I agree.
to express something that
I
is
agree.
happening, that we can point to, that's real.
I agree. You don't
have
believe
to
in love.
Agree.
And you don't believe in truth. And so I don't think you believe in God.
I do believe
I
that
agree.
things can be true or not true. So again, I don't know that you're.
But actually, it's interesting. Why doesn't she have a problem with me saying that? I'm saying if you treat love as a noun, she doesn't believe in it. If you treat truth as a noun, she doesn't believe in it. She doesn't believe it exists. She doesn't believe in those things. Boom.
Following the logic of this conversation, I'm good unless Paul wants to
Following it
continue.
perfectly.
I don't really have anything else to add to this.
Ben,
Why are you so
Good.
angry? Why are
I'm
you
not
so
angry at all. I'm having a great conversation, but
Lie. Now I got her. She's lying.
again, I
No, you're
don't
not.
think that you're following. And you continue to interrupt me, and you didn't interrupt Paul, which I do find interesting. I'm going to be done talking to you now, and I'm
Now you show how fucking angry you are.
going to let Paul talk to you because maybe you'll be able to
So
take him more
angry.
seriously.
well,
Relax.
yeah. So the
Look at that fake smile. I mean, she's very attractive, but see, I think you wouldn't rhetorically. Now I can just say, you're angry and you're claiming not to be. So you're discredited.
we don't need to discuss anymore. Basically, you are resorting to incredulous laughter, which from this side of the call seems incredibly ironic
problem.
because if anyone here deserves to incredulously laugh, it would be the people on screen. I will leave it at that.
I think you're angry
Ben,
at
I'm
God.
I'm sorry
think
about
you're
getting your
angry at-
name wrong there for a minute. There's no
Hey,
anger.
Ben, maybe
Yeah,
we're
both-
so
no problem.
angry. You still didn't provide
You're just
anything
lying.
for us.
You're just lying. You're angry. All right, take care. Don't be angry. Try love.
If that was love, I am not interested. That was.
I agree. You're not
I was
interested.
trying to communicate that to him. I genuinely don't think he's understanding the logic of the conversation and where it was going.
I understand
The color
it
thing was a
perfectly.
great thing to point out. That yellow doesn't exist, but we use it to define things.
Yeah, I think your observation was astute. Well, actually, there was a few astute observations. One, I don't think he was completely equipped to handle that call. The other was that
This is interesting because black people will say this, you ignorant. And what they mean is you're a bad person. But as the white person version of it, I don't think you were completely equipped to handle that call. As if they're like superstars intellectually. All they're saying is we don't think that there are any things other than physical objects in the world, which actually is a discredited philosophical position. Almost no philosophers hold that anymore because it's been refuted definitively.
Also noticed the interruption pattern that you.
No, this little guy, now you can see how this works in the human soul. If you flip everything around, you don't notice that she interrupted me and acted like a cunt and interrupted me like 20 times. And then towards the end, I interrupted her just because I could tell things were running out of steam and she was going to like filibuster. And he's such a bitch that he says, oh, I see. He's interrupting you. He's a misogynist. Crazy. It's crazy. But I think his brain actually is telling him, like, that's what's going on.
You noticed. That's all I would say.
Yeah. I usually don't notice those, and then somebody else points it out, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess you were right. But this time I was like, oh, he's fully interrupting me every time.
You're such a fucking liar. And you're such a double liar because you're like, I don't really notice that. You didn't notice that you were interrupting me like 20 times before I interrupted you a couple times at the end. This is how crazy anger makes people. This is not intellectual anything. And I love that came out. I love it.
Also, you guys should see my actual angry face. That was really funny. That's like when somebody.
Which is always, and this move is an interesting move. Like, you ain't seen me angry, you little bitch. This isn't angry. But you're not denying that you're like, you're just lying. You're being passive aggressively angry. And rightly so. You should be angry. There's something really fucking wrong here. You're an like 10 out of 10 female, and yet you're angry at God, your creator who created you. This guy over here, I can understand being angry, although he should be angry at himself because he castrated himself. What the fuck? But like you, what is the problem? There is a problem, and I'm not sure what it is. His problem is deeper because he's like, you know, I don't know. He thought himself into a hole here where he thinks it's a flex to tell random people on the internet that he has no balls. You, on the other hand, don't know what it is, but I'm sure the issue, I'm sure of this person, and I would love to know if anyone thinks otherwise, has been told a lie about her father, who is undoubtedly a baller to genetically produce this, as is her mother genetically. But her mother lied to her about her father. I would bet my life that that's the case and that that's the origin of this. It has nothing to do with intellectual explorations of what exists and what doesn't, yellowness or not. And I'm not saying women are incapable of that, although they largely are, but like a woman like that would have no need to go into philosophy. She can just enjoy a terrific life. She would have a problem with envy. And I'm sure that's partially what why her mother split her away from her father. But do you think I'm right? I guarantee I'm right about that. With this one in particular. She should have a problem with envious, bitter women, like her mother probably was, and envious and bitter other women. That's a brutal existence to be that good looking. But to be angry at God would be the last thing you'd be.
What's up?
I'm talking about being gorgeous like you, Grace.
Oh, thank you.
Gorgeousness
Yes.
is brutal. But she says, like, I don't believe in God, right? I'm saying you're angry, and you're actually becoming, she became very angry. And I know why she's angry.
Why?
I can go further with her. Okay. Your mom and dad were good looking. This one here. Mom and dad were good looking. My guess is the dad was better looking. Okay. But both must have been top tier. The mom told this one here. See, it says promise / Eve.
Yeah.
Told Eve that her dad was bad, and she bought it. Because Eve was probably better looking than her. You know what I mean? Sometimes, right?
Are her parents divorced?
Aren't they? I don't know anything about her. All I see is there's like a tattoo here,
Yeah, there's.
and what I
tattoo.
see, and like, so you think this woman has an intellectual curiosity, or what?
No,
what is she angry about? It's got to be that like her mother told her lies about her dad to keep them from uniting against her,
Yeah.
and she bought the lies, and now she's sitting here with this guy who like snipped his own balls off, going like, what am I doing? Really?
Promises
Because
sworn to X.
because I would say, and I'm not trying to flex, just my voice compared to this guy, like she'd jump ship in 2 seconds, and she's never going to get with a guy like Paul Logia.
No.
And when she jumps ship, she's going to jump ship to a guy like me because, like, come on, right?
Yeah.
Not like me, but like younger version of me or whatever.
Oh, it could be
Rich
you.
version of me. Thank you. But she's not going to jump that ship until she like gets through this. And I really just think it's about her dad. Now, I'm saying I'd be willing to bet my life that something like that is what's going on here.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
A female atheist?
The
Guaranteed.
the one oh, that's this good looking. I could see a ugly atheist, a fat atheist being like,
Sure, yeah. A fucking Karlin
God
Poroshenko
made
type.
me fat and gross.
Yeah.
Which isn't true, of course, but I'm saying, and then I bet what happened is, so okay, so she's like programmed by the mom to hate men, right? And then guess what? A lot of guys show her attention when she's younger. Are you kidding me?
Of course,
Are
yeah.
you, and at a very young age? Are you kidding me? Right? And she falls for the attention, and then guess what?
He breaks
One
her
of them
heart.
doesn't do exactly what she wants, and or like, you know what I mean, like has some issues, and she declares herself a victim forever.
Yep.
Anyways,
I'm guarantee every time it's true every time.
and yet she hasn't given up because look, she's got the makeup on and everything. Like Paul's not even trying. He's like, might as well wear a sign saying like, I castrated myself. Tattoo it on your forehead, you moron.
I have no balls.
No
literally.
balls to be found here. If looking for balls, go elsewhere. Which I love about him. It's so like classically like, yep, well, that's consistent atheism, Paul.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I would say if anyone finds that appealing, they might find atheism appealing.
Any
But
takers?
I miss that. But she also doesn't make atheism seem appealing, but she makes it seem like it would be really fun in bed to theize her like over a few drinks, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
To make a different kind of argument, non-consensually. But
Which
that
she's
is
into.
wrong, and you will end up in jail because bitches don't get over daddy issues. You can't daddy them with just, you know what I mean, even the strongest, how shall I say, argument for bitches,
Yeah.
which is not using words.
Somebody called Seth Andrews angry, which that's
wow.
hilarious to me.
That
like
is
the
amazing.
most chill
Paul's
person
balls.
ever.
What remains of Paul's balls just shrunk, even retracted even further into his abdomen when she started talking about what it's like when she's really angry.
He's frightened. He's terrified.
I do think women get perceived as being angry the second they start speaking up for themselves. And apparently, in this case, the second they make a good point.
The second, all you've been is a cunt.
True. Seriously,
Paul
though.
was pretty
seriously.
nice the whole way through. And he recognizes, like, rhetorically, you're not going to win by just being a cunt, even if you're really good looking.
Yeah.
And this idea of like this feminism, like I'm gonna hide behind feminism. You're poorly behaved.
Dude, she interrupted you 13 times. 13.
Yeah, and that was also obviously like once you resort to giggling and deflection of motive, like if you're just impugning motive, then you're not really
Right,
having a conversation anymore. So
Right. And what if
See that he's trying to impose this like enlightenment idea of a conversation. First of all,
Yeah.
they're not having a conversation. They will tell you, like, I'm not open to any other point of view. That's not a conversation. It's like Jehovah's Witnesses who will say, like, let's talk about this, but they're directing it in a certain way. And they use a lot of the same. What's interesting, they use a lot of the same techniques that Christian proselytists will use, right? You could even, like, he even almost, you know, I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see, except it's in reverse, right? I snipped off my balls and I came to see that atheism was cool, right? And it's like, it's the same kind of thing. And that's because most of them were raised as Protestants. And so they know the techniques. They just flip them in reverse to say, like, actually, atheism liberates you. Do you take, you know, Matt Dillahunty as your savior? Because then you'll be freed from everything. And they use the same techniques, both of which suck. I don't really like proselytizing, nor does Pope Francis. But this is not a conversation. And they're not open at all. And they're so... I like her in one sense because she is what they all are, which is like like fucking angry assholes who won't allow you to, like, you know, it's not a genuine search. It's not a genuine search for the truth that's open to different points of view. Because I actually didn't threaten them at all. I was just saying something which is like a syllogism. They could have wrote it through and said, if, and I could have been clearer, but if you believe in love. And if you believe God is love. Then you would be a theist. They could have said, I completely agree with that. And we don't agree with the first or the second premise. But that's a really interesting thing. They could have said, I totally agree that that is a tight syllogism. Tighter than a Chinese virgin.
Dude, stop.
As tight as tighter. And so, but you know, we'd have to get into the first and second premises that you're talking about. Instead, they just got like super triggered because I got them to say that they didn't believe in love. And they didn't believe in truth.
And they didn't like that.
And they just look bad. And then they appeal and they say, like, well, we're not having a real conversation. Because we're not having an enlightenment conversation in which you act like the logic. I'm not trying to say anything rhetorical. And we're just acting passive aggressive and just like, and gross towards you. Because we're lazy intellectually and we're just lying about what's going on. I certainly can impute motivations. Why can't I impute motivations? I'm a human being. You're a human being. You're angry. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Now you're lying. No problem with that. I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna, well, I'm literally not gonna do like Paul and get clipped.
Why would you?
Those are the only conditions under which people who struggle with their faith, which are, I admit these are those people, are going to like engage. But I'm sure I'll be banned from all these channels and told, and they will all like sign an affidavit for your mother saying like, castrate him. I mean, help him by not having balls. Right? The difference between me and Paul is I probably will get castrated someday. But I won't be volunteering for it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
That's the important part.
There's a big difference.
It's a big difference. It is a big difference. Yep. You want to keep going? There's some comments, too, that you could react to about you.
Sure.
They were seething. But I think they have a little bit more to say.
Oh.
What if I'm absolutely raging and angry? He could still make a good point. There was nothing stopping that from happening. And from what I saw in the chat, from what I think you heard, none of
what if you were? I would just show that that's what you're really doing.
Anyways, now I have the song "What Is Love" stuck in my head. Oh, shall we move on to
like
another
"Baby Don't Hurt
caller?
Me," like from the
yes,
the Roxbury?
yes, that.
Wow.
We've got Michael here.
So that's that. That's the call-in. Now we have also Jim Bob's reaction,
Yes.
as well as a bunch of comments, if you want to review them.
Ben is textbook example of 5 religious reactions to logic: statement, repetition, avoidance, retaliation, retreat. If he were any more predictable, he could pass as a fairly decent case study from a primatologist. I don't know what any of that's supposed to mean. 100% if Paul had been talking, Ben wouldn't have accused him of being defensive. He only said it to promise. Yes, because she was being defensive. I want to see the replies. Ben really thinks his stupid idea is clever. And he's so tied to it, he refused to listen. They were never going to get anywhere with him because his only intention was to present his stupid idea. And they can then be combative and dishonest. I actually wasn't combative. I said I agreed.
Yeah.
What they mean is Jewy.
Jesuitical.
Ben seemed like a troll that kept a straight face quite right up to the end. That's true. He was being an asshole. Okay.
Definition of irony: Ben getting angry about the host.
I was
appearing
clearly
to him
not
to be
angry. I was laughing.
Ben's projection is hilarious. Here's 4 about you. Here you go.
Even if both Promise and Paul had been genuinely livid and slinging curse words in every direction, Ben's argument still would have sucked. I admit I could have tightened it up a little bit. Like I kind of didn't anticipate their thing, but the idea, their thing is like you have to have this like argument that's perfect. I'm just saying I just want to explore something.
Yeah. Right.
Can you follow me? And they're like, no, get to the point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking assholes. Ben, now that I could not lead you to my incredulous arguments, even though I really tried to misrepresent your point on every turn, I will resort to demeaning you as persons. Great. Jesus would be proud of me. Demeaning you as persons? I should have.
That's a bit extreme.
I didn't catch the thing about Paul being clipped. I mean, I could have had a couple of zingers in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways.
I did. I got to them. That's my point. My point is I got under their skin.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of comments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? See, it gets under their skin because they're not used to it. They're used to all of these.
Ben, theist. Caller literally claims, no joke, that the hosts are theists because if one definition of God is love, then for all these people whom relationships and the word love would be used for them as the most important thing in their life, they are theists.
That's actually a pretty good summary of
it. How do you feel about them including no joke in there? Disrespectful?
No, because
libs equals triggered.
They unfinished business says, so we ended up with 18 interruptions before insults while Ben was on the phone. Yeah. plus they want you on the phones because they have a certain domination of you there.
Yeah, audio wise.
They won't bring you up because
right.
It's like Jesse Lee Peterson the same way. You're at a disadvantage being on the phone, so they should be super courteous.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And not always cutting you off.
Now, did I have anyone in chat supporting me in any way, shape, or form?
There was one person that I remember when I was watching the chat that said, if these two don't believe in love, then why would anyone bother talking to them? That was it. They said, it's like talking to a solipsist about whether he exists or not. I don't know. Ben calling y'all dishonest when he actively ignores the point Promise made several times that love doesn't exist as an omniscient, all-powerful entity is insane.
I mean, I think all these people have brain damage. But I don't think your brain works if you try to make one of these points like God doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Like, say if you try to convince yourself that you don't have a relationship with your father, which actually people do. They're like, my father is dead to me. I don't have a relationship with him. And it's like, okay, well, you just have a bad relationship with him. And they're like, nope.
Yeah.
And then they go on to, they intentionally at that point take substances into their bodies that cause brain damage. You know what I mean?
You mean drugs and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't they?
Yeah.
Because it's okay to have a bad relationship with your father.
Coop dropped a comment. If Paul wasn't there, Eve would be asking to live in Ben's RV. Let's go. Thank you, Coop. Do you want to move into Jim Bob's reaction? Or are you done with the whole
no.
call?
I mean, let's just say, like, with Jim Bob, what he did is he went over this call.
Yeah.
Told me that I didn't know what I was doing. Although, let's see him call in and
Yeah.
see how many comments he gets.
Jim Bob, you call
How much
in.
attention he gets. He won't get any.
Yeah.
And that's my point. I got under their skin. That's the point of all this.
He really should call in after all the bitching he did.
No, he told me he knows what he's doing, and I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
Although and then proceeded to say that he wouldn't talk to me about his critiques. Now, that is called a bitch.
Yeah.
Paul looks like a stud, and he doesn't even have testicles.
He literally does not even have a pair of balls dangling.
He has nothing swinging from where the ball sack should be.
Right.
And yet he's more of a man than Jim.
Right.
Now, Jim, you've got to do better, and I know you're listening.
We all know you're listening, Jimmy.
You've got to do better. You can't talk shit. And then the person says, like, hey, I'm happy to have a conversation with you. Just go, like, you're timed. Yeah, he didn't even immediately time us out or time.
Well,
my
his
account
mods did,
out.
but same thing, yeah.
And he could say,
What a loser.
no, let's talk. But you can't talk shit and then say, like, I'm a tough guy, and then not respond, like, not
Right.
say, like, let's have this out. What, do you got better things to do? Well,
Right.
then you wouldn't have covered it in the first place.
Right. It's such cope. What a fucking baby.
Such a fucking loser. Go away.
completely agree.
Can't be on the internet anymore, Jim. You can't, dude. You can't do it.
No.
You gotta go now. You're gonna get
It's-
punched in the face.
Bye-bye. Time for you. You're such a fucking asshole. Wimp.
Okay.
He really pisses me off.
He's such an internet-brained person. And here's someone who says, I believe in love. I believe in truth. I believe in God. And it's the same daddy issues.
Yeah.
And yet he's, like, obviously sort of, like, in love with me, I would say, on
Ben
some
Thorpe.
level.
Ben Thorpe.
Like, he's obsessed with me.
Yeah. I would agree with that statement.
And, like, it could be okay. He could be my little, like, lapdog kind of guy. But, like, he has
since
to
Andrew-
be this, like...
Since Andrew dumped him a few months ago.
Ever since, I think, who's that big muscle guy?
Wes Watson.
Ever since the Wes Watson thing, I think he didn't, like, have his back like he was supposed to.
No, he had his back. It just was embarrassing for everybody involved.
He's like, this dork over here.
Yeah, bitch tits. That was one of the best moments ever.
I noticed when we were watching the recent Andrew goes out shooting. He has a kind of obviously gay time with a dude.
I'm gonna cover that on the whatever.
And touches
sorry.
him a whole lot.
Yeah.
I've never seen teaching a guy to shoot a gun involve so much touching and approaching from the rear.
It
also.
was an
A
intense.
lot
It was an
of
intense
that.
meetup. Yeah.
And
It was some good stuff.
It was it was heterolicious.
He was sitting there with his feet up. He was giggling.
I mean, I guess it is what it is, you know what I mean? But it's like, it's just so funny how oblivious people can be to how obviously, how it makes you look so gay to have to act so heterosexual.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You just can't.
Oh, he's playing his guitar. It's so good. It's juicy. I love it.
It's just better at this point for guys just to say, like, I'm definitely gay. I suck dick. And that's the most masculine you can be at this point because
Yeah.
people have become overly, defensive about it.
Grace, play it. No, misunderstood. It's so good. He's like doing guitar riffs. I was creaming. for the
Right, and he
content.
has to do like shitty 80s guitar riffs. Right? Like heavy
he's like-
metal riffs. So
He's
it
like,
doesn't
yeah, I
seem
fuck
gay.
around. Yeah, I fuck around with it. Yeah, whatever.
It is interesting if you find like someone who like he's like every time you find someone who's like I'm super heterosexual. Look at the stuff I buy and the stuff I do, and it's
Yeah.
like, dude, you are such a F slur. It's way cheaper just to take a dick, suck it, and drink it down. It's way cheaper than this. This isn't working, and it's really expensive.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Oh, good point.
all this to like make it seem like you don't. Let's do it. Like just try it once. I'm sure you'll find it's to your liking. But if not, then you could say like, look, I'm just not gay, and I don't have to make a big deal about it.
Yeah.
Although, if you did take me up on your offer, on my offer to try it, you would be gay, obviously.
Oh man, I wish I could find that really old. Never mind. I didn't want to.
There was this thing with Norman MacDonald where he was on like the Howard Stern show, which I do not avow, but it was with some guy, and he was like testing him to see if he was gay, and he put his hand on the guy's thigh while he was talking to him, and the guy let him keep his hand on his thigh to say
Yeah.
like, I'm not bothered by that. I'm not like,
Yeah.
I'm not gay. And then he's like, you let me keep my hand on your thigh. You are so gay, dude. You know what I mean? He's like, what? And Howard Stern is like, you let him keep you let him keep his hand there?
Maybe he was just awkward though, or was it like?
No, you don't get it. You don't get it. You don't get it. You can't let a guy keep his hand on your thigh. That's gay.
Of course, right?
But he was saying, if I say get your hand off my thigh, then I'm gonna seem gay because like I'm uptight about it. So I'm gonna play it cool. But
I
you
getcha.
lose.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You lose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Smith, I think, comes out like one of the less gay guys. Because it's
Yeah.
like, that's a crazy story to tell. Like, there's no social reason to tell it.
But
Doesn't
sucking
help.
Off a troon.
But, yeah, you kind of, like, I legitimately don't think you're as gay as anyone would think you were before telling that story. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of a hetero story.
It is a kind of a hetero story.
He's like, I felt obliged for like, because I'm a liberal to give it a couple of sucks, and that's all I did.
Yeah.
And also you left the guy hanging, which is anyone would know is like brutal to do to someone. So
The guy who sucked troon dick is the least gay guy Ben knows.
well, no, you're not gay if you're doing gay if you don't.
Not with the hand on the thigh thing. Nope.
You there's a way to do it, but that's not the way to do it, by letting the guy's hand rest on your thigh for like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Although it was so cute once we were on the train. I'm going to cry if I say this, but like, and we were with the family and Tommy was sitting next to me and he just like put his hand on my knee and really squeezed hard and kept it there, which was very awkward and weird.
Yeah.
But it was like super cute. He was just trying to say, I love you, Dad. And
That's adorable.
yes, I wasn't going to be, and he was young enough where it wasn't like, excuse
Making a
me.
move. Unlike what I do.
Yeah. Super cute. But
Only
it was
the straightest guys know the exact moments to take action.
I mean, you could pretty much get away with anything as a straight guy.
Yeah.
If you just don't care when
You
they
can, like-
start razzing you. You just have
Yeah.
to say like, the whole point of being masculine is you don't care. I
Yeah.
think You know, if you ask
You
the
could like
question
kiss a guy on
Grace, shut up.
stage.
If
It
you
doesn't
ask the
matter.
question like which guy, like this is like the quintessential like masculinity question.
Yeah.
A guy with like a beautiful F-150, Ford F-150 that's like got all the like accessories,
Yep.
really nicely painted, very dude color, or like I would say like one of those Mustangs or something like that. The
Yeah.
new ones, I think they're really cool, or like a Dodge Challenger. Is that more hetero, or is the like fucking shit box Sanford and Son pickup truck that's like barely hanging on, you know, and it's got like
Yeah.
wood rails and is like
Obviously that one.
thrusting out?
Yeah. Of course.
Which one is more masculine?
That one, of course.
Yeah, the first one
Obviously.
is. It's not necessarily that you're gay, but it's like it seems pretty gay because you know that if someone scratches it, you're gonna cry like a bitch.
Yeah.
Instead of going like, well, she needs to get broken in.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas the other thing, you could literally have some guy drive it off a fucking cliff and you'd be like, cool, whoa, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I just think slovenliness.
Slovenliness. I mean,
Because there are gays who are slobs, like who have AIDS and stuff, and are like, I don't even care because like I'm like AIDS guy, and like I don't
know if that's true. They're very protective
F-150.
about those.
Yeah, one of those E trucks. I don't know. Whatever
Yeah.
they are.
They're like buff.
Or even if it's like an old truck, which I think are really cool, like, and you paint it like green, and it's like an old milk truck and all that stuff, and you get it all buffed and everything. Or like a classic Mustang or something, or whatever, an Alfa Romeo or a Porsche or whatever. Back.
Hey, it's your channel.
Whatever thing it is.
Sofa.
No, and I think that can be masculine,
Yeah.
but it's just like, well, what are you going to do when someone scratches it? You're going to be a bitch. You're going to be like,
Yeah.
whereas if it's already beat up, what are you going to do? Nothing.
Right.
So, but you can pretty much be fine. 56? They didn't even have Mustangs in 56, did they?
Let's find out.
You mean 65? Oh, there is a 56.
The female knows more about
First
cars
one.
than you. No, this is 50.
Is there a 55? Yep. 54? 54 and a half. Yeah, those old ones are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one like that. They were they were like crap mobiles. They were not expensive. I used to sit in it. And it was on the back. So, Grace, now what?
Do you want to go over that content
Those
nuke
cars,
video?
you know what they did? Like their innovation was they put the gas tank in the back. So
Yeah.
that when it got rear-ended, the gas splashed on the passenger.
It's like a little
And-
bomb. Yeah.
Yeah. Pintos too. It was like for the design.
Great job, guys.
Somehow, I don't know. It was-
Get Bella Biata.
they didn't give a fuck. I owned a Fiat Spider. You want to see my? It was my pussy mobile. I forgot what year it was.
Fiat Spider. What about year? 1970?
1970 something, 71 maybe.
Oops.
Yes, it looked like that.
Like this?
Yep. Light blue.
Oh my gosh, like that or lighter?
No, it wasn't a Fiat. Yes, it was a Fiat Spider. It had a bar in the back though. It had a. No, it didn't have a bar. Didn't have a bar.
Yay!
Barely fit in it. I couldn't drive it with the top up.
You couldn't drive it with the top up? It would hit your head?
I was like stuck on it. You know.
The quirky mobile.
It only lasted a few months and then broke.
Ben's gay as hell, bruh.
When I drove it, the whole axle broke in half.
Oh my
While I
god.
was driving it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Ben's giant ass in that head all the way out. So your head would have been like here.
I thought it had a bar on it. No, it was an older one. It was better looking than those.
Oh, okay. Ben asked the salesman, "What's the gayest car you have, sir?"
It was like $2,200 or something. The guy who sold it to me is like, "You got to know a lot about cars." She's this is an Italian, you know.
Yeah.
These are, and I was like, I'm sure I'll learn.
The axle, meaning like the bar in between the tires.
Yeah.
It just broke in half.
Yeah.
What, did you get in an
Fucking
accident?
Italians. No, I was just driving.
Let me guess, he also wore blazers with patches on the elbows. He did.
Later.
He has one. I like those blazers. It's very Wes Anderson. It's giving Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
I would love to have a car like this, but green.
Mine was blue.
Oh my god, that's literally the cutest thing I've ever seen. Not that one. This one.
1980.
So cute. Oh my gosh. It's adorable. I love that.
I got it when I was a senior. And what it didn't look like. 1980. Maybe it was a 79 though. Anyways, they're worth a lot of money these days, I think.
Probably.
It was a good looking car. I was like, well, why not? You know?
This grown ass man owned that shit.
As a kid, yeah.
He was
and
like
I had an
17.
earring and I dyed my hair blonde. Yeah.
Ben, can we just goon over Promise/Eve's old looks? Do you like her with the short hair or long?
Oh, does she has pics?
Let's
Does
see.
she have one of those goon pages like you have?
Does she have an image fap?
Cool. So
And
your
if
claim
so,
is
what
that
is the
God
link?
love. What is your proof?
How do you find? Wait, do you have a channel or something? Promise, atheist.
Pussy. Oh, I see.
This is her with more makeup.
No, look. Now, do you think that oh, that guy's kind of good looking.
A little Jewy. Just kidding.
I think she looked really hot when I was there. I don't think she's that good looking in these.
Yeah, she looks more witchy now. I think
Ethnic.
no makeup is the way to go for her. What about?
She had
let's see,
makeup
what's
on.
this? No.
No way. She didn't have any makeup on?
See, this is her with makeup. Some women look better without makeup. She
Dr. Trevor Stinky.
Stinky. No, she has
Dr. Stinky. Hey, why even bother on these things? Why
What makeup
even,
do you think she
Grace,
had on
why
here?
even bother calling in as yourself? You know what I mean? Why not just like do an accent that's like ludicrous?
Yeah.
At the same time, they'll never know. You know, why don't more people do that on
hello?
the internet?
My name is Panjit, and I wanted to talk to you about the
You're a very
existence of
beautiful
God.
woman.
Also, you're very beautiful. How many goats for your pussy, ma'am?
No, Grace, that's too easy. You're such
Okay.
a sleazy. No, I'm saying like a weird, like German accent. You know what I mean? Like Werner Herzog or something. Really take it very slowly.
If you look into the eyes of a
Profoundly
chicken,
interested in what the two of you are saying, and I need to penetrate deeply. And what you should do is just have like a series of words that you have to say. You know what I mean? That chat gives you.
yeah,
And they'll give you $100 if you can use like the word penetrate, anal. Whatever, right? Don't you think there
Yeah.
should be like more people who do that? Instead of, like,
definitely.
I'm seriously doing this stupid thing. That'd be super easy to troll. But I wanted to say something. One other thing has to do with Keemstar. Since you were saying like you were talking about Eve's pussy, which I don't really think is anyone's business but hers and mine. What did you think about the casual way in which on the drunk stream everyone's talking about Jordy's dick pics, which he did not bring up?
I thought it was like really stupid considering what just happened with Destiny.
Okay, but like, so they're all sharing them. Okay.
Yeah, like Becky's literally
And
saying like,
hold
I'm
on a
looking at
minute,
your
hold on a
dick
minute,
pic.
hold on a minute. This has to do with masculinity. Foodie Beauty had already done this thing with them.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but it's a dick pic, it's not a woman.
Yep.
So they go, not gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
And they're also saying his dick is big, mostly, I guess.
Yeah.
So super not gonna be a problem for him.
Yeah.
But legally, There is no distinction.
No.
Okay. Now, would a court say, oh, come on?
No.
Yeah, it would. I think it would.
You think so?
I think they'd say, get the fuck out of here, dude.
No, I don't.
They were
think
saying
would.
your dick was really big.
I think
Fuck
if
outta
anything,
here.
courts would
They
want
don't-
a case like that to prove that it's not only about women.
Maybe. If it
I
was
think
a-
they'd be like, oh yeah,
If it was
we
a
wanna
high-
pursue that. Pursue this.
if you made it a high profile case, for the most part, they do have a double standard. And I actually agree with the double standard. I agree with the double standard. I'm not saying that, like, there's no issue there, but it's just way less of an issue.
I agree with the double standard morally.
So
I don't
shouldn't the
think they have
laws
it-
reflect the double standard? But until they do, like, men should troll the fuck out of this. I don't know how, but like whoever you don't like, just
Well, Lav leaked dick pics of Destiny. He could sue her, but the problem is Lav doesn't have any money, so it wouldn't be worth suing her. But he certainly could because she leaked his dick.
I don't. She didn't leak his dick.
Yeah, she did.
She leaked pictures of his dick.
Well, yeah.
Important difference.
I'm sure she drained it too, but that's just a
No,
side point.
apparently she said no. It was only one-sided.
Yeah, according to her.
But how do you get a dick pic if it's just one-sided?
Right. How do you know that was Lav? She's talked about it. Hasn't
Yeah.
she? I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was her because
You know,
There
there's a
was
famous
there was this
race
big
car
thing
driver
about it.
named Dick Trickle. Dick Trickle.
early.
Dick Trickle.
I feel like you're yanking my chain. Dick Trickle. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Dick Trickle. Just. He's never like,
Why
hey,
not go
why don't
by
you call
Richard?"
me Richie? Richie Rich.
Richard Trickle.
Dick Trickle. It's fantastic. I mean, I guess
Oh,
he
the
died
leaks were already
tragically.
going around. Lav just confirmed it was his dick. Oh, okay. Never mind. Still though.
But what I'm saying is like, I mean, as a guy, if you're like, I'm suicidal because you saw my dick. That is ridiculous. It's rightly ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Because,
Yeah.
I mean, although you could argue that like male genitalia is external, female genitalia is internal, like a lot of pussy pics wouldn't actually be showing anything, right?
Like it would just be the outer labia.
Unless it's like, right?
Right.
So, like, you could argue that it's not really very revealing. Although, what would you see on the inside anyway? It's always the same. It looks crazy. But anyways, men's penises have much more personality than
Yeah, that's true. Your
giants.
labia aren't really that like they're private, but I mean, you're not really seeing the whole kit and caboodle. It's like a
And boobs. Give me a
external
break,
thing.
right? I would say a boob pic is similar to a dick pic.
I would say that's true, yeah. They're just tits.
Anyways,
More
but
personality, says the gay man.
they're just much more fun.
I mean, wasn't that the Elaine thing? Cut or uncut? She's like, where's the personality? Clit size is a big deal. No, actually, you
Wow,
know,
you really got to get in there for that.
I think, how do I put this? A lot of women aren't as tight as they would like to be. And
I know the whole roast beef thing,
there's
right?
things poking out that they might find extremely embarrassing.
Yes. I mean, I get it. But
Yeah.
I get it. I do think it's intimate. Those are intimate parts.
Yeah.
But in a certain sense, it's kind of stupid. But I agree.
Yeah.
Like, a picture of it shouldn't be like that big of a deal. Although I understand that like touching and penetration are like huge deals.
You know, can I say
Apparently.
something? I don't actually think that I don't think
You didn't get my joke.
touching them.
And penetration are a big deal, apparently.
I don't really think that a nude in and of itself is that big of a deal.
Non-consensually.
Like if I was sitting here streaming and like everybody has seen a nude of me, I don't really care. Like,
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The thing about the nudes is that it's embarrassing because it makes you look like a slut. That's what's embarrassing about it, in my opinion.
My guess is
Would I
that
care if anybody saw? Like, I
My-
would care, but
Well-
I wouldn't feel personally embarrassed. I would just be like, well, I mean, unless I was acting like a hoe, which led to the nudes getting dropped in the first place. You get what I mean? It's more
Well,
psychological.
which is why like revenge porn is awfully convenient for someone who just wants to market her
Right.
like self. And in a certain sense, like if you say shave down there and you like whatever spend a lot of time doing whatever women do, vagio whatever, you do want to show it, right? I mean, it's kind of like
Yeah.
like a flex, right?
You would care if the nude was not flattering and took without your knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah, I would care then, yeah. But then somebody's like spying on me, which would be crazy.
It's a different kind of thing. I mean, I think there are some women who would genuinely. I remember I was with these guys who went to my dad's church, and we went to the YMCA
Yeah.
just because they were like with us for a couple of days,
Yeah.
and they freaked out about changing in the men's locker room. And it's not really like you're just like, I mean, in a men's, whoa.
Speaking of nudity, I can't show this on stream actually, but this
Whoa.
is Kanye's new wife. This was
How
her
come she's naked?
This was her Grammys outfit.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what she wore to the
Whoa.
Grammys. And you could see
You
downstairs
can't
too.
show that?
No.
In the front, you could see downstairs?
Yep.
No.
Yep. If I look it up on X right now, it was fucking crazy. If I look up Ye,
That's nuts. Well,
He
that's as far
posted-
as you can go in that direction.
that's just about it. Okay. Yep, that's what she wore. That was literally how she showed up to the Grammys.
Okay. That's what that is.
Isn't that crazy?
Grace, I was trying to make a point.
I'm sorry.
What was it?
Do you think she has the perfect body?
I think, no.
See, I agree with that.
I'm not into those huge boobs.
Right.
And I'm not into that curvy. She's probably short too, right?
I don't know. Is she short, chat?
I like the Nordic look. I'm sorry.
Okay. Sorry.
I like it.
Didn't mean to distract.
Well, she had a jacket on though for most of the time.
Yeah.
So
Ben likes men. Sorry. You were saying nudity, nudes, unflattering picture, and you're
yeah, I
saying
mean, I
story.
just think it's like it's complicated. All this stuff. I think that for your generation, it's going to be more normal that there are pics out there. Do you know what I mean? It's going to become seen as like not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But people are going to tend to have them leaked once it becomes more common. You're going to want to like leak it yourself or have your boyfriend take pictures that are really well done and then be like, oh my God, he leaked it. Right. And because there's a way in which vaginas have become like kind of fashion accessories. Right. And so it's like, it's not really yours if it's, I mean, just like boobs that are fake. It's kind of like, you want to show them off, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So if you have vaginoplasty, I mean, why hide it? It's not really you anyways. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. I actually don't think it would be that big of a deal if like, you know, this guy told me about Catholic or Christian nudism once. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I could see that. Makes you kind of calm down.
Christian nudism?
Everyone's like he was like, there was this dude who he knew who was like all wound up sexually, and he went to a nudist colony for like a year, and it really helped him to calm down
Really?
because in a certain sense, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
I could
my
see
thing
that
with like
for
nudist
sure.
colonies is like it's really easy just to not be nude, like it doesn't require much,
Yeah.
and like it just seems convenient. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, all your
You
bits
don't
and
want you to get
bobs
your like
spilling
dick,
all over the
like,
place.
like caught on something,
Right.
And it's just so like it's obviously even if you want to say like, oh no, like it obviously is that little triangle on women is where the pubic hair grows, and it's just like totally different than what's around it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's obviously meant to be covered up. I would just say it's obvious, even if
You could say
like
the pubes
Spock
are
would
like
say.
clothes, kind of.
No, but it's totally crazy. But then you could say like women's armpits are also totally crazy. I guess that's true too. But I really don't think
there's hair there.
Yeah, but that might just be a cultural thing. But I'm just saying, well, the way that triangle is so different than everything around it. It's like, seems like God is saying, can we just do a triangle here until you're
just a triangle? That's all we're asking for.
How
just a
hard is
triangle,
this,
man?
And the anus also, like, which is like, how hard is this? Right? Everyone pretty much does it.
Yeah.
Except those guys who like staple their dick to like don't they put it in a tube and then they got the balls hanging out? That's some tribe that does that.
Oh, I don't know. I would think, yeah, probably.
I mean, whatever.
Those Africans get up to all sorts of shenanigans.
You can make an argument that like too much focus on quote modesty makes people like weirdos too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the Victorians would like, I guess we're supposed to believe this.
Ben, the young people are eating booty regularly.
The Victorians are like, they would have been turned on by like an ankle of a woman. Right? They say that. I don't really think that's true.
I think that's exaggerated. Personally.
What was the question?
What do you think about young people eating booty?
I think the word booty can mean two different things. Grace, can you help me?
Well, it just means one thing, in my opinion.
Which is?
Well, tossing
booty?
the salad.
Oh.
Well, what else would you think it would? Eating booty? What, kissing an ass?
Booty can mean pussy. Can it?
No.
Chat, I appeal.
I got up in her booty. It would mean ass.
We're knocking boots.
That's not similar. Booty is different
anal
than
sex?
boots. No.
What?
Booty does not mean pussy. No. Give me
What does it mean? What? Bussy?
Booty is not another word for pussy.
Yes, it is.
No.
No?
No. I mean, maybe in the old day, but
No, you're wrong.
no. Booty just means ass. Like, I'm not even trying to make fun of you. It's just booty means ass, pussy means pussy. You could call it box.
Well, the word booty comes from like pirate
yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
And it's like what's in the treasure chest, right?
Right.
So that would be butt? No. Only for gay dudes.
Yeah, but booty, whenever it originally started out, it just means butt. Like, nobody... So you'd say,
I think it can mean the other.
So you'd say, like, I fucked her in her booty, and you'd mean pussy.
I don't think that would mean anal sex.
Yes, it would.
You think booty stands for a-hole? No.
Ass. I fucked her in her ass. That's what I fucked her in her booty would mean. Serious?
Yeah, right. What's a booty call? Okay, so then what's a booty call? It means anal sex.
Okay.
Boom.
Yeah.
I win.
Okay. You're right
I
about
win.
that. That's true.
A booty call is not anal sex.
It's not.
Nope.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You're right about that. But okay. I mean, in like a literal sense, in a sentence, you wouldn't say that. But yeah. Okay. I got some booty.
I think it's flexible. I think it flexes between the two things, and I think it's context dependent.
Okay.
I don't think it's like a literal synonym for ass.
Yeah.
Right.
If you get some ass, it's not. Yeah.
Right. If you say that's a nice piece of ass, you're not saying I enjoyed having anal sex.
Right. Right.
Unless you're a dude.
Where are you going? Are you leaving? Smoke?
No. We're losing everybody, Grace, because we're just doing random shit.
Well, what's next? Do you want to do the content?
Now,
Nick?
I like our random shit, but I think
I
we
like it
should
too.
do it. I think we should do it as IRL. It'd be more fun.
I
going different
completely
places,
agree.
hanging out with people. I think they'd have fun.
Yeah.
And just having random conversations about various genital words and what they stand for.
Yeah, like
or
our karaoke.
wherever it
That's
goes.
that's old school Thorpe TV.
Okay, so I always am looking for that high, you know? I feel like I really didn't get it with this.
But you were very excited after the call. I remember you were like, "That really went. That was fun." But I'm not saying you have to be right now. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Maybe I'm a little bit. I have a hard time selling it. I guess I've been taught. I've ended up with like my dick in my hand so many times that I kind of like get myself there in a way.
Dude, yeah, you have to say like I smoked them. Atheists L. You know
But
what I mean?
I'm looking for,
Fucking losers.
I'm looking for someone to say, you know, people said to you like, you are really, really talented.
Yeah.
And you were great on Long Cow Live. You got a lot of affirmation.
Yeah.
I don't really care about the affirmation, but I would like people to, I don't know, kind of say like, this guy's on to something new. It's interesting. He's doing a different thing. I hate it. It's fine. But to say like, I could see how this is different. I never get that, but I guess I never will get that. You know what I mean?
It was more like Ben was trying to have a conversation and they were trying to win an unwinnable debate.
I'm saying I want people to say that what I have is something interesting. That's all.
Well, I
Interesting
mean, you got
and
a lot
different.
of
To say the problem is the bourgeois thing. Like that's interesting. That's different. That's a different approach. It gives a whole rendering it through that lens gives a whole different like understanding of Jesus, understanding the New Testament. I'm not saying I have the true gospel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And no one has said these things before.
Yeah.
I'm literally reading someone else's essay. I'm just saying that like I would like for people to say like I've never thought of it that way. I've never thought of Jesus as anti-bourgeois. I've always thought of him as bourgeois. And like not that like, oh my gosh, that's like fantastic, but just like it's different. It's different. In the way that some people that I've read have really affected me, like Wendell Berry wrote, and usually it's essays. And Wendell Berry wrote an essay. It's kind of a dumb essay in a way, but he's saying like why I won't get a computer.
I read that.
You read that?
Yeah.
And he's like, because
cute.
I have a wife and she types and we use a typewriter and there's a certain way in which typing things has a physicality to it that a computer wouldn't have. And I remember I used to sign that. I signed that 1 year to kids, honors kids at the school I taught at. They were so angry. So
Really?
angry. Yeah.
Really?
Because they're just like, that's like so fucking, like, this is so, like, I guess they were saying it's boomerish. But I don't know if Zoomers would find that kind of thing boomerish. It is
I think
kind
they
of
would like
boomerish in a way.
No, it's cool.
But like you guys would be like, I think you guys would be more amenable. They were millennials. I didn't realize it at the time.
Yeah.
I realized they were millennials.
I feel for you teaching those people. I mean, you were.
But
like,
if you said
Destiny and Erudite, that was your. Those were the people you were teaching. Ugh. Gross.
But if your generation was like, you know, if someone's like going a tirade against phones, you guys would kind of more be like, I agree. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind
I think a
seeing
lot
what
of,
it's like not to have a phone, even though you would freak out. You'd be like, it's probably good for me to do this.
Yeah.
If your school as a group did it for a month and just
Yeah.
like did it like in the woods or you know what I mean? Like where it's not like had school in the woods and it was just like, there's none of this tech stuff. You'd probably be like, that was a cool month.
Yeah.
Even though I freaked out.
Yeah.
But we all freaked out. 3/4 of the girls are pregnant and half the guys came out of the closet as gay. But like, it was good. And I don't know. I guess that's what I'm looking for. I don't know how you get that on the internet. W's in chat. I only feel like you can really get that with another human being, and I will never get that from you. Because you'll just go, I already agree with you.
I
Anyways,
totally
when's
agree.
my
When
show?
I was when I was listening to Jim Bob's thing, like I really get your point that like you're falling into their frame and therefore giving them the W.
Exactly. That's what it has to end up being. Well, thank you.
I'm not sure. I
That's
think you're
meaningful.
developing something else, and I just think a lot of people are like,
I guess
"Bro,
eventually,
epic destroyal." I don't know.
I would like for other people to like, whether they knowingly or unknowingly do it, like kind of like take up the torch, and start like that conversation, and then maybe decades later, people will look back and say this all started with a guy named Ben Thorpe, a known pedophile and rapist.
I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like, I think that I think you should try to talk to Nick Fuentes or something like that. Somebody who's like
Yeah.
more on your side. You know, he doesn't do like the
Right. That's what it would be
Nick
for me.
Fuentes
Is a
doesn't do
conversation with someone who's not immediately going to shut you down, who might say, okay, find that challenging, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then
Yeah.
kind of say like, okay, well, if people want to call it Thorpeism, variant of Catholicism, I just think it's coming at it from a different point of view. I don't even care if you want to call it Christopher Dawsonism. I don't care. I just want to be seen as like the articulator of something that's interesting. That's all. Stop being called a pedophile.
I think you should
by
just
the
react
kids.
instead of building bridges. Build one with the audience.
Especially by those fucking annoying kids.
Those fucking kids keep calling me a pedo.
Trying to help you.
I'm teaching you about important adult things.
You
that
can
you're
learn
gonna
this
have to
one
worry
way or
about.
the other. Better to have.
Sooner or
very-
later, it comes down to fate. I might as well be the one. Come here, Jimmy.
So fucking fancy. With your being
Does
7 years old.
Ben want to shit on people or not?
I don't mind that, but I would just like I like the banter. I like the shit talking. I like the trolling. I just would like. I've never in my whole life. I studied religion. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
went to high school. No one wanted to talk about anything. I went to college. No one wanted to talk about anything. I went to grad school. No one wanted to talk about anything. It's like, shouldn't there be someone who wants to talk about something?
Well, I think.
And then
think,
I taught
Yeah.
in high school for the better part of 2 decades. And there were a couple of people who wanted to talk about things, but they were awful people. So I saw this thing you did on how slapping your wife and kids is okay as a Christian LMAO. I support that.
is that a video?
Thank you. Slapping your wife and kids. Sure. I appreciate you say slapping.
My favorite is your debate with Not So Erudite. This was peak. Have you guys ever even seen this? Can we watch it just for a minute?
Sure.
It's so good. It's
I don't
so
think
good.
it is. But there's some of these motherfuckers out here doing
Wait,
this.
let me start it over.
So I don't think it is. But there's some of these motherfuckers out here.
She had been
doing
going
this.
on for a long time.
So
Yeah.
who is it?
Hello, motherfucker.
I just think it's a confusing situation because it also really comes down to the guy's like mental state, right? Because yes, it does
The good
happen
old days.
where the girl gives you a playful no and no, like, oh no, I don't want to do this, but she's really down, right? That happens, right?
This isn't what the agency part isn't the part that I'm having an issue over necessarily. The point is the emphasis of what we're talking about.
Who cares if you're having an issue? What is your problem? Why are you going here and scold everybody?
You don't need to be here if you don't want to be a part of this conversation.
What's your problem? Why are you coming on here scolding everybody?
Chill out, Ben. Chill out.
I'll say again, if
it
you don't
wasn't
want to be
biased.
here, you're welcome to leave. You don't have
Yeah,
to.
you're welcome to leave too.
Chill out.
Alex,
Right there.
I demand my rights.
Okay.
Yeah, he's trolling. Yeah, he's trolling. On the
Chill
regular.
out.
The point. The whole
And buddy Kyla, just take it easy. Go ahead.
I'm just kidding with you, Kyla or Kayla, whatever your name is.
He trolls.
whole point.
This is supposed to be a men's channel.
Yeah.
is the
Red
concern
pill
of
channel.
emphasis. For women, my frustration with women and Yas Queen Girl Group is when we talk about sexual assault, we just want to talk about how dirty, pig-headed,
did this?
gross
You?
men
Me.
do sexual assault. And that's about the end of the conversation. When a really important part about the conversation are things like, how do we make our cues more explicit so that situations that are messy and with unclear consent leads to somebody getting assaulted?
What
don't
group is this?
happen. Right? When we talk to women, we should be talking about like safety and risk factors. So like doing things like, when are you drinking and why and how? When men are talking about sexual assault situations,
you should be exclusively focusing on making sure that you figure out which men are doing the intentional rape, which and the men.
It's amazing she was tolerated here.
Yeah.
Which is that they're like not taking the nose maybe.
Does this ever end? Does this ever end? You just go for like 10 minutes at a time? Everybody just sits here.
But I think, okay, I
Hey,
would
you
say
go ahead. I'm on stream just so you know.
Make a quick point, and we'll bounce it around. That's how guys talk.
right away is
Am I right? Science?
that he was being
Science
predatory. It's entirely possible that dude was being a predator, right?
I agree. We don't know, right? And I'm willing to grant that maybe it wasn't the most malicious kind. It was somewhere in between. What's important for men to get at is
What is going on? Because the men that fuck up in this way, by the way, are ruining it for the rest
of you as well. They're the men that are going to be the type of characters that when women talk about like bad apples of guys who like can't figure out when to know.
Oh God! Stop! What'd you think about the thing where he's saying you have
sorry,
to?
can we please mute
Yeah,
him?
Alex, kick this dude, bro. Kick him. Like, get him out of here, bro.
I'm gonna mute him.
No, kick him, bro. No, kick him.
I'm gonna kick him. Relax, Q2. I'm just gonna mute him. Let Kyla finish.
I'm sitting there
You can
muted.
respond. Go ahead, Kyla.
I don't remember what I was saying. Yeah. So if I could be generous to you, I think where we're missing each other is I understand that you're talking about this idea, which is that like we're not really precise about rape and sexual assault, and sometimes we'll weaponize the word rape where it's like where sexual harassment was actually occurring, right? And that's a problem because it leads to a dilution of the word. Would you agree with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I hear you. So what I'm saying is that conversation is valid. That conversation is a worthwhile conversation to have. The issue is you need to be mindful about the context in which the conversation is occurring. And after a woman comes on and talks about her personal experience with sexual assault, I'm saying that's not the venue where I think it's most appropriate to do it because this does lead to
Who cares what you think's
sexual assault.
appropriate? Why do we have to all
If
care
you,
what you
if you
think?
don't want to be here, you can just leave the panel. If you would not like to hear my thoughts, just exit the panel and close the YouTube channel.
Ben, are you on something?
Yeah, Ben's off today. It's usually funny.
He's still talking. He doesn't realize. Okay, keep going. Were you finished with the point?
That was basic. I think Simon was understanding what I'm saying.
Can I ask Kyla a question? Can I ask Kyla one question? Just one question. I'll go.
This was a while ago, like a year.
Kyla, you said this chick was talking about if you're already inside of her and she withdraws consent. You don't think that's ridiculous? I mean, you acknowledge that's utterly ridiculous, right?
That's not what happened, though.
No, but she was saying that is a different theory. That's utterly ridiculous. No fun at all if you could withdraw consent every moment of the. I mean, you gotta shit or
Well, I mean, no, like a
Yeah,
girl.
but that's not what happened in the story that we're talking about.
No, but she brought up that story. She brought up that scenario, and I'm sure you and your queen group analyze at what point you could do that. Look, I don't think anybody should have sex before marriage, but it's no fun if you're gonna do all this fucking analyzing. Kyla, I can tell you're the type of girl who likes it hard and without consent, obviously.
Just realized, you know what? I apologize to the Playing with Fire community. Ben Thorpe came on here and reminded me that there are pigs and monsters and gross shit out there that we should ignore.
That was a good video.
That was fun. I literally had no idea. I didn't know who she was. I'm like,
yeah.
How is this like? You're giving men advice. It's like a red pill channel, kind of.
I looked her up later, and I
And
was
this
like,
woman
oh,
is just like
shit.
babbling endlessly. Like, how does this? How is this even close to what should be happening? Here?
Yeah. Yeah. Some good stuff in here.
All right, Grace.
Sorry, I'm doing my
No,
thing.
you don't have to prop me up. I'm looking for that.
No, I'm just saying that.
I'm looking for that. Yeah, like I wanna like a really nasty video made about me, like that priest made about Micah Lofton, saying like Thorpism, it's a danger, and whatever. So even if it's all negative, I just want it to be acknowledged when I'm saying something. But I didn't really get a chance to say anything.
I think you have to interact with smaller creators.
Yeah.
In my opinion, just start beefs with them.
Yeah.
Start conversations and
It
tag
tends to
them in
be
YouTube videos.
The
or
problem there is it tends to be walled in by like bouginess, right? So they're not going to let me in unless I check my balls in at the door, which is my whole fucking problem to begin with.
You
with the
have to
church.
come at it like a troll. Like, you have to come at it like, okay, I'm John Zerka of Catholicism. Like, I'm not taking this seriously.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like, I know I'm gonna get kicked out. I just want to play it
Yeah,
so
no,
I get the most
no,
views
no.
possible.
Well, I don't need your advice. I know, like,
Which is my thought.
well, you said I have to.
He doesn't like being called a professor. He's brought up me saying that he's similar to that Sugru guy like 500 times. What do you want me to be, in a suit in front of like a chalkboard, and you think I'm that much of a pussy?
Yeah, you got that wrong. Sorry. All right, let's. No, I think I would just come across as sincere.
Yeah.
And just saying, like, here, I have a real problem with this, and like not using, let's say, the cursing until like I go like, okay, but like it's kind of, and then sort of slide it in.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying like bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And most of them would say like, yeah, I get that. That's not really a bad word.
Yeah.
But we don't say it here or whatever. And I just would say, I don't know. Why? Or when do you say? When is it okay to say? Like, why are we burdening Christianity with this additional thing on top of everything else that it has to use this language which people don't really use?
Yeah.
In every circumstance. I'm saying if you're teaching little kids.
Good question.
Fine.
But it sucks. You have to be like.
Oh, you just asked the
Anyways.
question. I just did an interesting question. Why can't Christians use profanity as freely as anyone else?
Right.
I would say there's an exception to like profanity about God's name and stuff. Maybe that would be different. But like,
Yeah.
the F word is, I mean, you could say that it doesn't belong to formal culture. That's true.
Yeah.
And that a lot of people use it in a sloppy way and maybe should be more reserved about using it because, to say something, I don't know, like, this is fucking green isn't really much different than saying this is green. But, I don't know. Slang has uses. It can get tiresome. It can be used as a substitute for, like, more sophisticated vocabulary. But what does that have to do with, like, we don't use it at all? And I think also the question that I'd have is, why can't Christians be aggressive towards non-Christians when there are conversations about religion? Why can't they?
Yeah.
Why can't they? I'm not saying jerks, but, like, why do you have to be, like, so afraid of seeming like you're asserting something?
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
Why? Because you'll come across as arrogant? All right, well, I mean, that's anyone who thinks something is true or thinks they know about something could be, yeah, you're right. He used a lot of like harsh language. Anyone could come. I mean, you could say like, oh, you don't know what you're doing with that like hammer, and someone could say, oh, well, you think you're fucking, you think you're better than me,
Right?
It's like,
right.
Do you have to be like, oh my gosh, no, I don't mean that? You'd be like, yeah, you don't know what you're doing here. And so why does Christianity have to be so like
Yeah.
about that?
Right.
Why not just say like, I believe these things. I don't shove it down anyone's throat. But if someone brings it up, I'm just going to tell you like, here's how I come at it. And I think my point would be, I just think a lot of things that people think are like religious are actually just common sense. You don't need any faith for it all. And that the like faith that you do need is like much smaller than you'd think usually, having been brought up, let's say, in secular society, that like really people don't debate whether Jesus existed. Although on the internet, a lot of people would think like, well, what must be a big issue. It's not.
Yeah.
The like existence of God doesn't even make sense as a statement. And comparing, there's so many different religions. It must be really hard to pick. Like, no, there's only two religions that anyone thinks or make any sense, which is Christianity and Islam. And obviously Islam doesn't really make much sense. No one converts to it because it doesn't make much sense. And look at the people who follow it. They don't produce anything that we value, really, right? Culturally. So you might find it attractive, but when someone's like, when a person from the West converts to Islam, you're like, okay, that's like a mental illness. Anyways, Christianity is the only one that like actually, you know, because like we're hooked on love, right? So like we think God being loving, being a baby is really cool. Okay, and then really Catholicism is like obviously the only real legitimate candidate for being the true church. Protestantism can be dealt with like in 2 seconds, and Orthodoxy in even less time, because like once you get to authority, then of course like there's no doubt. Now I'm not looking to do that with other people, but it's not that hard. I'm just saying it's not that hard, and it's great. Once you land there, you'll find it's like incredibly rich, and like a lot of people think religion is like crazy. It's for crazies. You say crazy shit. It's not really very rational. It's totally rational, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to have these, like, you don't have to be like one of these crazies who doesn't seem to understand, like, you know, like be able to have normal emotional reactions. You know, you're all like googly eyed and whack job and it's like culty. None of that's true. None of that's true. So it's just like being a person at this point. There's really no other option.
To be religious, you're saying?
To be Catholic. I think it's like, it's kind of like you should have to argue why you wouldn't be Catholic. It's like everything else sucks. But I get it if you're not there.
Because I don't think most people think that's true at all. Like,
I just think that should be our reaction.
No
It's like,
idea.
oh, are you kidding me? Protestantism? Like, if you look into Protestantism intellectually, this doesn't hold up at all. And we all kind of have seen that now. It's over. But I'm not trying to bury Protestantism. It's just like, okay, so you want to read the whole Bible and come up with your own formula about it? Like, no one wants to do that anyways.
Yeah.
Even if it was true, it's like, okay, well, we don't read anymore, so what are you going to do now? It's like reading heresy, right? Like reading the Bible heresy. And it was like, really, it was somewhat cool when like the printing press came out and people started becoming literate. And it's like, oh, that's a cool heresy because it's cool. But now it's like, well, we think we largely don't do that anymore. So this would be a religion only for like people who like books, which are a very small number of people.
Yeah.
Okay. True. So whatever the religion is now has to be like able to be communicated on the internet. And that's not Protestantism.
Yeah.
It's more visual.
Yeah.
So back to like, okay, well, who did the stained glass windows? Those were pretty cool. Oh, yeah, that was the Catholic Church. Because they don't care whether you can read or not read.
Right. And people don't read these days.
Only Protestants ever cared about that because they were like, everyone has to read because, like, we all need to become Protestant.
Yeah.
But they never read the Bible anyways. Are you kidding me? Do you think people read the Bible? Do you know they used to do this thing, Grace, honestly, like in the Catholic countries where they're like here's one thing, people, you were saying about the age of consent. It's like a lot of people didn't know what age they were.
Yeah.
Like 100 years ago.
Right.
Not even. No, about 100 years ago, right? A lot of people didn't know what age they were. And you're like, how stupid are people? Right? But they just didn't care. Wasn't a big deal. Which is really interesting, right? Because for us, it's like
interesting.
My fucking birthday. Oh.
Yeah. They just had they didn't, I mean, they knew vaguely how old they were, but like the idea of a birthday, they didn't really have, which is interesting.
Yeah. And they would say like, their like ambition is like, if we can get people to recite the Our Father and the Hail Mary before they die and just know like a few other things.
Yeah.
Like get that stuck to them.
Yeah.
To their brain. It's like impressive for the peasants, you know?
Yeah.
And they just associate the church with warm feelings, sort of. We don't really care whether they've had all these conversations. Oh, Announcement.
Yes. I don't
Not that
wanna
you're
announce
announcing it to anyone.
I don't want to announce it. They already fucking have canceled on me so many times. Okay, apparently I'm doing a stream with Salvo and Edwin at 6:30 tonight. Okay. Theoretically, they just texted me. So we'll see. I don't be misunderstood.
All right, let's call it, Grace.
I'm flinching. The sign of abuse. Did you
Call it.
Did you get what you were looking for? A little bit?
No, I got to express what I'm looking for.
Okay. What's the Okay, I don't want to be condescending.
I just think I'm a conversation.
I just think it's easier for.
I just think I'm a conversational type of person. I like engaging. I always wanted to engage, especially with younger people, and I understand that that's like, in a sense, easier because I'm going to be largely more educated than them. But I think, but I think that younger people are more open. You know what I mean, someone my age is like largely going to have their mind made up already.
Yeah.
But I think around people around your age, male and female, preferably female, would be more open.
Yeah.
In every way.
Yummy. Ben reminds me of William F. Buckley, who was also a great conversationalist.
Oh, thanks. He was also like the original tick guy.
Yeah, that's true. He had a kind of shark mouth.
I don't know.
Okay, well. Is that it? I think it was a great stream.
Grace, you were in like 7 different ways saying like, that sucked.
It didn't suck.
You can't be happy finishing that way. You didn't.
It didn't suck.
You're like a woman, and I'm going to use a sexual thing saying like, okay, if that was good enough for you. I don't think that happened. You know what I mean?
Well,
usually there's a clear ending, but that could work too, as long as you're happy.
Whatever works for you, I guess.
Hey, it's a work in progress.
Yes.
I don't mind saying that, like, you know, I got thrown off.
Thrown off by what? Oh, her?
No, like 2 years ago, I was doing this.
Yeah,
I thought I would do what I was doing. I would do like a debate,
off.
and then like, remember, I would like break it down.
Yes.
I was doing all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then you and your mother decided that we weren't going to do that anymore, and now I'm back there, and so.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Okay.
You all said that.
Okay, yeah. You did get thrown off pretty hard. So I only yesterday
Yeah, I'm very happy to get 100 people, man.
I only yesterday had a stream where I
Now you're gonna do condescending, like, dude, I've been there.
Am I a narcissist? Do I turn everything into
Got
myself?
300.
No, where I felt confident in the content I created, like straight up, like I was like, that was great.
Yeah,
it's the
it
first
was
time
really good.
ever.
Yeah.
Before it's only been like bits and pieces.
Maybe someday I'll
So-
be confident too, Grace.
You'll get there, buddy.
Little
Took
buddy.
me a while. Dude, I remember when I sucked. I'm not saying
Baby steps,
that.
guy. Baby steps.
Any chance we'll ever get another convo with your brother on stream again? Probably not.
Isn't it weird? Isn't it weird how that it's just can't do it. You know what I mean?
Well, he's crazy.
Do you think your mother's going to follow through now? Now that I think the divorce is going to happen relatively quickly.
Yeah.
She said she was going, or her people said she was going to go back online. Do you think she's going to?
No.
No way.
No. I support it, but I don't think so. Should we start doing intro music? Like,
Well, she's never taken her channel down.
no, it still has most of the streams up too. It was a good stream. Rebuilding an audience from scratch takes time.
Thank you.
It's okay, buddy. I'm just kidding. Of course, it was a great.
All right, I get
We're
it.
overdoing it. The stream was fine.
was great. Bye.
You just didn't, you know. You didn't get what you were looking for.
Grace.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
They can still hear us. What do you think about this outro?
The knife.
I had to use stock images that I couldn't find the right one exactly.
Why are they going left to right?
It's like a little animation. It's supposed to be like looping animation.
What's the point?
It was like a template.
What is the point of the images? That's not a dagger.
I know. I
don't know what the eye is.
I did it late at night. I thought it seemed like
I
intellectual.
like the
don't
Ben
know.
Thorpe over Big Gabriel. It's so crappy.
This is racist. Okay. Bye, guys.